nothing short of hazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
With Bill Gunter, Patrick Perret, and Jen Jensen.
Somebody on the live stream said that I'm just being a jerk to Jen and I'm hazing her. So.
And the thing is, I appreciate, she must not listen to the show that often, and I do appreciate that. He's a jerk all the time. So it's not like this is new.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
It's odd how winners get classified as jerks. I am with you.
Oh my God. You can't stop yourself.
I am. It is strange how that happens.
107.5 The Game.
Wednesday morning, the early game. Bill Gunter, Patrick Perret, Jen Jensen. We are up. We are at 'em. We are ready to go. Get you through the Wednesday portion of your week. Get the NCAA tournament a little bit closer. A couple games last night. Patrick, Indiana will. I don't like playing games. I really don't like playing games when it's 2 16 seeds.
That's what I was going to say. That's become the overwhelming take, and I wonder if they're going to change it because of that.
Yeah,
you win your conference tournament, and you're going to be a 16 seed. You deserve the chance to play Goliath.
No, I'm with you.
I don't hate the Indiana Wyoming playing.
Yeah, I'm okay on that. Yeah, I'm with you there. It should be the final 8 teams in is what it should be.
Yeah, agreed.
The final 8 teams in, let them in. But I watched a little bit last night. Texas A&M, Corpus Christi against Texas Southern. Texas Southern gets 76-67. They now advance on into the actual NCAA tournament, which again, that's a whole other argument discussion. They'll play Kansas coming up on Thursday. Indiana knocks off Wyoming there in the late game last night, 66-58. I don't know how you want to phrase it. Do you want to say we're actually into the NCAA tournament?
I don't know, because those count.
They do count.
But you don't even have to submit your bracket yet.
We'll talk about that.
I guess the deadline is tomorrow at noon, I think, for ESPN.
That's true. I've got to do a whole bunch of brackets today. Get involved in a whole bunch.
You have to do one bracket a whole bunch of times.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I got to get involved in several people's brackets, I guess is what we're saying.
I'm not on board with people making 20 different brackets and then bragging about, hey, one of my brackets is doing really well. Okay, well, what about all the other 19?
Now, when you get in, what is it? ESPN always does the million. Is it still a million?
I don't know if it's $1 million challenge. I thought
it's actually 100,000, which is absolutely. I guess maybe they actually have a winner.
I swore that Quicken Loans or I thought Warren Buffett was involved somehow, where they were offering $1 billion back in the day.
I do feel like yes. So if you had to get all of them right, which is
Buffett offered $1 million for every year of your life to anyone who picked a perfect Sweet 16, or $100,000 to the longest surviving bracket.
Okay, $100,000. Now that would be kind of fun. The longest surviving bracket, that could be pretty entertaining. So
when did this end? It ended in 2014. It looks like
he realized it was a bad investment. He got out quickly.
Well, he didn't have to pay anyone. It still never happened. Will we ever see a perfect bracket?
Wasn't there one last year?
There's never been one.
Do we know that?
There's never been an officially entered. It doesn't have to be ESPN, CBS, Yahoo, whoever does brackets. There's never been an official perfect bracket.
Okay.
I don't believe.
There's that. Patrick's all over it this morning.
It's like we're going to be over.
There's never been a perfect bracket. There has not. Closest anyone has come that's publicly known was Columbus native Greg Nile, who correctly predicted the first 49 games, stumbling only when number 3 Purdue beat number 2 Tennessee. So pretty good.
All right.
So we got that. We'll get a little bit more NCAA tournament talk. Really start to break down our bracket.
Have you filled one out yet? Have you got your official bracket yet? Or are you waiting? Are you the person who waits until 11:54? Basically giving yourself a 6-minute window there before noon to get that bracket in.
No, I actually did one last night, and there's one other one that I'm going to do. So I did get one finished.
Okay.
All
right, good. So Jen, we'll get into not only our bracket. We've already talked a little bit about that on Monday, but we will
open up our group.
Okay.
I do have a little bit of a problem with this group. Craig named it the early game 107.5, but he didn't capitalize the E and the G in early game.
Take that up with Craig here in a little while. You can go to our Twitter account and be able to join that. If you want to do that, join in the early game bracket challenge.
That's
again,
the one on ESP. That's the ESPN one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the one I filled out last night.
You can go and do that. So, all right, we'll get into a little bit of bracket discussion today. We'll get into baseball a little bit. South Carolina last night, the coaches agreed to a 10-run rule, and then South Carolina 10-run ruled Gardner-Webb 12-0. So 7-inning ball game last night. Aiden Hunter picks up the victory as South Carolina does, Patrick, what they needed to do. They roll over Gardner-Webb, and now they'll get ready for another big series going up to Knoxville to take on Tennessee this coming weekend. And I guess we'll all keep a close eye on that just to see what becomes of South Carolina now. You get swept by Clemson. You win the Texas series. You finally get a little bit of a midweek breather here with a 12-0 thumping of Gardner-Webb. The Gamecocks record 10 hits. Gardner-Webb just 5 last night. South Carolina gets a couple different contributions there. Brant Belk starting the game off with a home run. You had Kevin Madden going to left center with a home run. Then you had a bunch of runs scored after that. So the Gamecocks roll over Gardner-Webb 12-0 last night in a game that they kind of needed to just have a breather, right? 7-inning game, thump somebody. Both, again, if you're wondering why both coaches agreeing to the 10-run rule and then South Carolina being able to 10-run rule Gardner-Webb last night as they scored 3 runs in the 6th to make it 12-0, and they roll on. So you've got a Gamecock victory last night, and you got a little bit of NCAA basketball last night that gets the NCAA tournament going. Spring practice got going yesterday for South Carolina. Did you watch any of the videos there that some of the guys took?
I watched there was one like minute and 30-second clip of just Spencer Rattler ripping it.
Just rolling around, rolling out to his right, rolling out to his left, throwing on the run, looking good.
Lot of zip.
Repeat, like the last 30 seconds of what you said about the baseball. We had an EAS that just went across. You don't remember?
The last 30, it wasn't anything important. I was just
just didn't want it to be like you just made some prophetic announcement or something like that.
No, we were just saying 12-0. Now they go up to Tennessee this weekend, and I was also just repeating because if you looked at it and you saw the 7-inning game, you thought, well, why did they play maybe a midweek 7-inning game? Both coaches again agreeing to a 10-run rule basically, and Gardner-Webb 8-11 on the season.
That's painful in a college game. I would think to be 10-run ruled. I mean, if you're 9, that's one thing.
Patrick, I think it should have been what Iona probably should have begged for the 10-run rule back when they were playing. Was it Iona? Did you say that like Tennessee beat them? I think
27-0. I think.
Yeah, 27-0 one game back in I think it was the opening weekend of the baseball season where Tennessee just beat them something like 64-13 throughout the week, or maybe 64-2. I don't know. It was brutal, but so that's what we were repeating. But spring practice yesterday, again. We'll get into some of what Shane Beamer had to say yesterday. Jalen Brooks no longer with the team. But Shane Beamer, I guess you don't think about it because you get caught up in the moment. You get a little excited just about having some football back, being able to discuss it, Patrick. But one thing that Shane Beamer talked about that I do think is interesting, year 2 of the Shane Beamer era, the player's a little bit more comfortable. And there's a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence right now. Now you get Spencer Rattler here in Columbia, so expectations are growing exponentially. They'll probably grow by the day to where by the time we get to August or September, Gamecock players predict them to go 26-0. They'll play 2 games every weekend and find a way to win both. So not just, I should say 24-0. They'll win all 12 regular season games, plus maybe they'll go play NFL games on Sunday and win those.
And then they'll win all the college football playoff games twice.
Yeah, exactly. They'll play all the teams in the college football playoff and beat all of them. So it'll be a magical like 30-0 type season is what Gamecock Larry will probably predict. But you do talk about that, how just going into year 2. Patrick, you played lacrosse in college. Your first year, you're probably trying to learn the ropes, figure everything out. Second year, a lot more comfortable.
Well, I only played 1 year.
Okay.
Second year I was here. Second year I came to South.
So you were a lot more comfortable.
I would have been a lot more comfortable. I possibly would have started my second year, but I did not stick around for that. But no, I mean, it does make sense. And a lot of these guys, it was, I guess, would you characterize it? You'd characterize it as a pretty experienced team last year. I mean, there were a lot of new faces, but there were a lot of transfers that had played football. And then your whole offensive line was pretty experienced. You did have some experience on the defensive line, and you were anchored in secondary by Jalen Foster, who was a 5th-year player. So it was a fairly experienced group, and I would think that and we saw Will Muschamp's playbook, or some of it, very complicated. So I can imagine for the defense spending 3 years just trying to learn all of that, the 100 different sets for your, what was your run fits, your 100
Oh, yeah,
different
for
run
the
fits.
ridiculous
Yeah.
yeah,
When
yeah.
you've spent 3 years just hammering that through your brain and then come in, a new coaching staff comes in, they teach you something completely different, and not only that, substantially different because Clayton White runs a very unique defense, so you have to learn that. Offensively, you go from multiple offensive coordinators and Mike Bobo with a complex run scheme, and then you have a NFL pro style coach come in and teach the offense. Like there is a lot of moving parts. Not to mention you have a quarterback who had just come in to be a coach as your starting quarterback, and then another quarterback who was hurt, and another quarterback who had not played in 2 years. And last time he was there was the FCS level. It was just so many different things happening that they're probably just trying to get by on every given week, and you don't really have that much time to consume information and really learn the playbook. You're just trying to get used to each other, get used to the staff, and it is a lot of comfortability coming back for a second year and having that whole off season to watch the film back, know what you've done wrong, read the playbook, and just finally get to know that, hey, the same thing 2 years in a row. Now we can really kind of iron out the details. So I think it goes a long way. Year two should always be the biggest jump.
And I think having a guy like Spencer Rattler there to maybe orchestrate the offense helps because you should have everybody else, the guys like one guy we had not mentioned that I saw in I think Hale McGranahan's kind of practice write-up, EJ Jenkins.
Yeah.
We've talked about Jaheim Bell. We've talked about Josh Vann. Juice Wells has started to be discussed.
We talked about it yesterday. I said, "Do you want to hear about that?" And then I saw it was Brad Crawford put out the tweet that said, "That's three texts now from people in the know saying Juice Wells is the real deal."
He'll be interesting to see. I mean, South Carolina has had elite wide receivers the last few years obviously with Brian Edwards going to Debo, or was it Samuel
Debo
to Brian Edwards and then to Shi Smith. And even last year, Josh Vann certainly stepping up in a big way. It's been the guys behind them, the lack of production behind them, which was strange because I guess you had Debo and Brian Edwards. Shi Smith, I remember us having that conversation.
He was just a deep threat.
Whether he had been a guy that you could be reliable, and then he did step up and do that. So it's been depth behind them. Now you wonder, do you have that if Juice Wells is able to step up? You've got Josh Vann. We've talked about Landon Simpson. EJ Jenkins is a really interesting prospect that's still on that roster that last year everybody was begging to get on the field. I'll ask you that. Is that a guy you want to hear more and more about this coming spring from a standpoint of, we have this 6'7", 245-pound, I don't know what he is, wide receiver, tight end. I think he was working with the wide receivers yesterday, but
I don't know what I want to hear about him because I do feel like if I'm just guessing on what his role is going to look like this year, I feel like he's just going to be involved in a lot of the goal line packages or just red zone packages because he's such a big target. And if you want to throw goal line fades or just put the ball up in the corner of the end zone and have him go get it. I mean, that was some of the highlights I saw from Spencer Rattler yesterday is just nobody playing defense, but he's rolling out and throwing balls up real high, just trying to get a feel for how far up there you can chuck it and have EJ Jenkins still come down with it. So I don't know that I really expect him to be one of the key players when you're talking about just between the 20s or whatever. I just expect him to be kind of a red zone touchdown machine. And if he catches 15 balls next year, I'd expect 5 of them to be touchdowns. Like that's just kind of where I feel like his fit's going to be.
you would think he and Stogner, bigger targets,
Right.
taller targets down the middle of the field would be options, and that you would have patterns lined up to take advantage of matchups where they're going down the middle and Rattler can look down and be able to throw the ball down the middle of the field.
Right. But Stogner is going to be on the field most plays because he can block.
Right.
He is huge and he's strong. If maybe that would be what you'd hear from about EJ Jenkins, something like, hey, he has put on a ton of weight and it's good weight and he's really strong and he's taken to inline blocking and he's going to be a legitimate threat as a blocker too, which is going to help him stay on the field. I don't know that we're going to hear that though, because I don't know how much weight his frame can really handle. Guys that are that tall usually don't have the easiest time keeping weight on. So I don't know how heavy he could possibly get or if it's just kind of too late in the process to turn him into a legit blocker. So I will be curious to see how involved he is on an every play basis, but I certainly expect to see him out there in goal line situations.
803-404-6100. So we've got baseball wins, big series this weekend up in Knoxville against Tennessee. You've got again, kind of the continued start to college basketball's NCAA tournament as we have 2 more games tonight. I think tonight maybe a little bit more interesting, Patrick. I'll probably get into tonight a little bit more. Bryant and Wright State. Now, Bryant and Wright State, you go, oh, okay, that sounds pretty bored. But Bryant has Peter Kiss, the nation's leading scorer, and quite frankly, could be a villain. Like,
he is a cocky SOB.
If you want to watch a guy and either like completely get on board with a player or say, man, I dislike that kid and dislike that school. Bryant played your school, Wagner, last week in the what league was that?
The Northeastern Conference.
Okay.
NEC.
And Peter Kiss, if you haven't seen him, go check out some of the highlight videos. The kid can play. He's a baller. He's averaging, I think, 26 points per game this season, right around that. I think it's 25.8. But he is not afraid to score and let you, the crowd, the referees, the other coach,
your mother, your girlfriend.
Yeah, and he's pretty much going to try and take your girlfriend too. Like, he's going to try and score on you, and then basically going to try and score with her. Like, he's out there to basically show you up and embarrass you. He's averaging 25.1 points per game, 35.6 minutes per game. He's 29.4% from 3-point range, but he is a dude that if you haven't seen, 6'5", 200-pounder, he's out in New York. He is a guy that's
such a New Yorker, just like their coach Grasso is the typical New Yorker. Peter Kiss has definitely got that New York mentality. So I feel like people here are going to hate him, but there will be people that are going to love the kid.
I will admit, there is Bryant and Wright State. There is absolutely zero reason during the regular season from November through the end of February you would ever tune in to a game. I would encourage you maybe take a few minutes tonight, check out Peter Kiss with Bryant in Wright State. That'll be the first play-in game tonight. It's worth watching him and deciding whether you're on board with that guy or whether you really want to pull against him. The second play-in game tonight actually should be a pretty good one. Notre Dame versus Rutgers, and I think you had Rutgers making a run in your NCAA bracket.
I have Indiana beating St. Mary's in my first round, and I've got Rutgers with the bigger upset against Alabama.
Okay.
I don't know. It has as much to do with Alabama as Rutgers. I actually think Rutgers is a good team with Ron Harper Jr., Geo Baker, and I can't remember that big guy's name, but I think Rutgers is actually a pretty good team, but it's a lot to do with Alabama being just completely boomer bust, and I'm banking on them not being comfortable with the hoops and it doesn't show me which region they're in or where this game's being played, but I will look that up. So, yeah, I think Rutgers is a good team, and Mike Bray has been really good at Notre Dame, and I think he's missed the tournament the last couple of years, but just a good basketball coach, and Notre Dame's been perennially pretty good with him.
803-404-6100 if you want to be a part of the program this morning. Craig weighing in, RL, Jan giving some thumbs up, RL saying the odds of a perfect NCAA bracket. He gives 1 and a number that I'll never be able to pronounce. I'm not sure that's an exact number, but seems about right. Robin, Michael, David, Anthony. Again, we got a lot of people joining us this morning. If you want to be a part of the program, you can go over to the Buford Lending live stream page, jump in, weigh in on our own little chat room. You can do that by going to youtube.com and searching 1075 The Game. Click, join, subscribe, weigh in as you see fit. That is kind of our own little chat room that things happen during the show when we're all fair. You can go and join there. Again, you can also join us this morning, 803-404-6100. Raj saying, and I look, I'm not going to sit here and even pretend I've learned much about Peter Kiss, but Raj giving us a little bit of background, says Kiss went to Rutgers initially.
Yeah, I think he went to 2 different schools. I'll pull up his bio, but I did look it up after the
brawl
Wagner game. Yeah. He's played at a couple of schools. He's a 5th-year senior, started out at Quinnipiac as a freshman, and then played 3 years at Rutgers and postgraduate at Bryant.
He seems like a guy who not only wears on the other team, but wears on his teammates as well.
I think so. Yeah. I think I can say RL's number.
Go ahead.
All right. It's 9 quintillion, 223 quadrillion, 372 trillion, 36 billion, 854 million, 775,808.
Very good.
Those are the odds.
Impressive.
Is that
Those
the
are
actual odds, or do
I
we?
can not imagine that would be the case. I haven't taken a math class in a long time, but wouldn't you just do the number of teams like squared or something like that?
Jen, you're the math major of the program.
Oh no, I
Or
can
something.
promise
Oh no,
you
Jen
at
can't do
Butler,
math. Oh,
Or
that
like
was a
something
shame.
to the 64th power, 68th power, or 64th power.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
You're definitely not asking the right person.
no, and that would not be my thing. At Butler, those of us who were in the radio TV program in the Fine Arts College, we took math for morons.
I-
Legit.
Well, we called that contemporary math in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Seems fair.
We were just much more complimentary, apparently.
RL was correct, though. That is the number.
That is the number?
And I wasn't completely far
Good
off.
job, RL.
I thought it would be something to the 64th power. Apparently, it's 2 to the 63rd power.
Okay. There you go. Kids, you're learning a lot already this morning. If your parents have got you up and at 'em and ready to go to school, we are giving you math lessons, telling you, what was that? Can you read that number one more time? This is the odds of getting the perfect bracket if you're going to your school and you're filling out a bracket in your science class or your history class. Here is the number. Here is the odds of you getting it all completely correct.
Yeah, it's 18 zeros. So it's 9 quintillion, 223 quadrillion, 372 trillion, 36 billion, 854 million, 775,808.
Play the lottery, kids. Play the lottery. I believe you have better odds. Am I right on that?
You definitely have better.
You have better odds of winning the lottery than you do.
The Powerball odds are 1 in 292 million.
Oh, that's it.
Like 6 less commas.
That is Powerball tonight, or is that Mega Millions? I'm going to buy a ticket right now.
I wonder. I think Powerball is worse odds, right?
I have again.
Nope. Mega Millions harder to win. 302 million.
Stands to reason.
302 million.
If I win, I'll come in tomorrow.
If you win the Powerball,
Yeah,
I'll do this
after the
job
next
still.
drawing.
Okay,
I'll
well,
come in.
I was going to say, given that the next drawing is not until I believe. It is. It is tonight. You're right. So if you won
Look at
Power,
you. Look at me.
what's it at?
133 million, cash value of 87.8 million. So
I can still make that work.
I'm gonna wait till it
okay
gets
with
200 million.
Really?
We're not doing the show from here, though. I will still do the show, but we're not.
I'll be doing it from my beach house.
Yeah,
I'll
build
like
a
Isle of
studio.
Palms.
I'll build a studio at a beach house. We'll do it from there.
Would you set me up so that I could have a board and everything?
Yeah, we'll have
at my
we'll
place?
have the whole. Yeah, we'll have.
Okay.
We'll
That'd be
have
awesome.
4 mics. We can still have guests. We'll fly out guests. It'll be nice.
So
We'll fly out guests.
fun.
Yeah.
I believe this is
We
how
should
this
fly
is
them
how
in
people.
first.
I believe this is how people go broke with their lottery winnings when you're flying out the
Right.
guests. If you win Powerball tonight, if you take the cash value of 87.8 million, and you then you paid your taxes like you were supposed to. You paid your 44% taxes. After everything's said and done, you would walk out of there with a cool 49 million, basically.
Which is approximately 48,900,000 more than you'd get for a perfect bracket, which odds are about a million times harder.
Exactly.
The payout for a perfect bracket does not match the actual difficulty.
I do agree with you on that. There you go. So, yep, we got all that going on this morning. We got plenty we're going to get into. There is some substantial NFL news as it pertains to Deshaun Watson. We need to get into that because that's a big thing. There was actually
be a big day.
It could be a very big day in the NFL. There was actually some Randy Gregory news yesterday that you typically see in college, you don't see in the NFL. So we'll let Patrick break down some NFL news for you along the way. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. Anonymous texter says, why are playing games ranked higher than the 16 seed? Well, we just talked about that. We think they should be the 12 seeds, the final 4 teams in. If you won your conference tournament, you should just be in the tournament. You should be allowed to just go play. They don't make any of the automatic qualifiers from big Power 5 schools playing the play-in games if they win their conference tournament. So
the ratings might be better if you had the playing games as 4 Power 5 teams.
I'm with you on that. B from Columbia. I saw the coaches from Murray State, Cleveland State, and Chattanooga were listed as candidates. Also, the Furman coaches being interviewed. Are those realistic options? I don't follow men's basketball like I do football and baseball. So those good candidates. We'll talk about that coaching search. Patrick Perrette has promised us European basketball coaches that we need to pay attention to. He's got it all covered. So we've got a lot for you this morning. Coming up at about 8:05, Brian Edwards from VegasInsider.com will join us to look ahead to teams that could either make a run or games that he likes. So we'll get into that with him. Then coming up at 8:30 this morning, Kyle Thompson will join us for our PGA Tour segment. Kyle also will give out some lessons or some ideas. If you've got some issues with your golf swing, you got some problems, you want a question answered, you want a little maybe idea of how to fix it, shoot us a text message, 803-404-6100. We will ask Kyle Thompson this morning as well as talk about the PGA Tour. So a lot to get to. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
Hey guys, Pearson Fowler here from the Extra Point, and coming up on the Wednesday Extra Point, continuing to react to the news that South Carolina is moving on from Frank Martin. What does that mean, and what direction are they going to go for the next hire? Plus, we will talk to Wes Mitchell. Spring football is officially underway. What did he see at South Carolina's first football practice of 2022? We'll have Wes's thoughts on that, plus a lot more. It's the Extra Point, 9 a.m.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central, 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Well, great news to start your morning off on the right foot. No accidents to report at this time. The not so great news, we have rain and thunderstorms coming in today. Mid-morning is when those are expected to start. 66 for the high, 73 tomorrow, and 74 on Friday. But it's milder this morning. It's 60. 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute. There's no Times Square ball drop at 4 Eastern today, folks, but the new NFL year officially begins. All 2021 NFL contracts will expire. The 2022 trading and free agency periods now begin. And most importantly, all teams must be under the 2022 salary cap. So who's going to get released? Who's going to get traded? Well, we're about to find out. I'm Boomer Esiason.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
O'Reilly. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get up to a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. With the power, performance, and reliability your vehicle demands, Superstart batteries are designed for lasting performance and consistent starts. Turn the key with confidence. Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need.
Liberty.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Sheely's Barbecue in Batesburg, Leesville is our sweet deal of the week.
Log on to 1075thegame.com this Friday beginning at 9 a.m. to get a $50 gift certificate for only $25.
Hurry while supplies last.
Forestry is a pillar of our state's economy, employing more than 98,000 people and generating an economic impact of more than $21.2 billion annually. South Carolina Forest, they'll grow on you.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, the South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
You haven't tasted real Carolina barbecue until you've experienced Little Pigs Barbecue. Full-service dine-in buffet with barbecue ribs, brisket, chicken, rice, hash, tomato pie, macaroni and cheese, and many more of your favorites. Eat in or take out. Little Pigs Barbecue on Alpine Road is open from 11 to 2 on Wednesday, 11 to 8 Thursday through Saturday,
And 11 to 3 on Sunday.
Little Pigs Barbecue on Alpine Road. Little Pigs family looks forward to seeing you.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the same life-changing treatments as retired Braves pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my right arm, but my right elbow took most of the damage with 3 surgeries.
Arthritis developed and the pain was unbearable.
It wasn't just pain when I was trying to play sports. It was anytime I was moving the right elbow. It was pretty excruciating at times.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and the regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics?
My elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803.
Sorry, I had to go get some water. Trying to be healthy again. A lot of water. Ate some chicken last night and some sweet peppers and quinoa. Monday night was salmon and spinach and quinoa.
Oh, Sean Clifford is so bad.
Patrick's still grizzled about Sean Clifford. 4 months after football season. Did you figure out if he's back or not?
Yeah, he's back.
Year number 12?
Yeah, because I just Googled Penn State QB and the top article that popped up was, could this be Sean Clifford's Kenny Pickett year? I think not.
Oh, did we not have the commercials playing? Did we take out the...
No, we're taking yours now.
Didn't want to make y'all listen to the commercials.
Did Traylon Burks play in the bowl game?
I thought he did. I honestly thought he did. Didn't Arkansas win this pretty handily? We're watching Penn State, Arkansas in the Outback Bowl. On one of the televisions. Patrick's happy to be watching the football game and not one of the talk shows. So we got all that going for us. Oh, I did not pay. We had late soccer last night, 7 to 8:30, so I did not see this. That is interesting news. Did you see the text that just came through? I'm going to confirm it before I say it out loud. Scores. Texas did lose last night. Ooh, Clemson got walloped last night. Georgia State beat them 6-1. Well, we should probably mention that. 6:36 on a Wednesday, March the 16th, as we get you ready for the weekend that will be. Should be a busy, busy weekend. NCAA basketball tournament. Gamecocks travel into Tennessee for baseball. There will be a whole bunch of NFL news. There was actually baseball games last night, and as Ken points out on our text line last night, Chad Holbrook in College of Charleston, knocking off Texas, Patrick, state of South Carolina. Apparently just giving the horns down sign to Texas each and every time out, as Texas falls to College of Charleston last night 8-4 in a game down in Charleston. Also last night, Georgia State thumping Clemson 6-1. A couple other games of note: Tennessee, South Carolina's upcoming opponent, 7-1 victory over Eastern Kentucky. Number one team in the country, Patrick. Can you name who the number one team is now? Probably not.
Baseball?
Yeah, probably no clue.
Ole Miss.
Okay, you can. Good job. I had no clue until I just looked. The number one team in the country last night, losing 5-1 to Southeastern Louisiana.
Which is?
In Southeast Louisiana.
Give you $10 if you tell me the town.
I have zero clue. I don't know. I was going to come up with something. But what do you got?
They play in Strawberry Stadium.
Okay, that's good news. I'm glad we're narrowing it down.
Hammond, Louisiana.
Hammond, Louisiana. Good.
They're the Lions.
The Lions, yeah. Southeastern Louisiana beating number one Mississippi last night. Again, in that ball game, they take them down. So busy night of baseball. Tennessee 7-1. That'll be South Carolina's upcoming opponent. The Volunteers 7-1 on the season. Again, Mississippi losing, Texas losing last night. So a rough night.
Do you know what Texas dropped to?
Number 2. I'm looking at D1. I'm looking at D1baseball.com and I'm looking at their scoreboard. So it tells me number 2 Texas. So I'm assuming that I don't know what they are. And again, there's a whole bunch of polls across the board. So I'm not 100% sure. We were talking about that 10-run rule, Jen. Texas Tech last night beating New Mexico 28-2. 10-run rule could have been in play there and probably would have made that game a lot quicker and a little bit better feeling for New Mexico there as Texas Tech wins last night 28-2.
I wonder how long that game takes to score 30 runs.
I'm guessing it's not quick.
I don't think so.
I'm guessing it's not quick. So a couple scores to pass along from college baseball last night. Again, another top 25 team, Maryland, losing to Delaware, Patrick, 6-3, and Liberty, number 14 Liberty, losing to VCU last night, 2-1. So some college baseball scores. South Carolina rolls over Gardner-Webb, 12-0. Aiden Hunter gets the victory. He moves to 3-2 on the season. It was a 7-inning game because, as I just mentioned, South Carolina and Gardner-Webb agreed to a 10-run rule. 803-404-6100. We talked all day yesterday about the search now that will take place for South Carolina and the head basketball coaching position. We'll talk a little bit about that today. Obviously, no major news. Seth Davis reporting, I think, that Bob Ritchie will be interviewed by South Carolina. Bob Ritchie, the coach, obviously up at Furman and has been a popular name. Patrick, when you hear right now, or I'll ask you and then I'll weigh in, how should fans feel when you hear so-and-so is being interviewed? Because I'm not really going to put a lot of stock in who's being interviewed. I feel like they're going to do a lot of interviews. I feel like in this situation, because the pool of candidates, once you get past the Sean Miller, if you want to throw Mark Turgeon in there, once you get past the big name, I don't know if there's necessarily a home run hire. I like Pat Kelsey. Pat Kelsey would be my guy, but I can understand why you'd want to interview him, Bob Ritchie, B.J. Mackey, Dennis Gates, Matt McMahon. That's 5 people to interview right there. I don't know if Ray Tanner's just sitting in the Hilton and they got everybody out at the lobby bar.
Waiting out there.
They're all at the lobby bar sitting around and
send in the next
one.
Go
get the next. Yeah. What should people like when you hear somebody's being interviewed? Do you get excited? Do you say, I don't like that guy? Like, I kind of take it with a grain of salt right now because I feel like there's going to be a lot of interviews.
That's exactly how it should be. And if they didn't do a lot of interviews, I don't think Shane Beamer would be the coach here for football. Because I get the impression that he just blew them away in the interview, right? And you hear him talk and how enthusiastic he is and how much he cares. Like, that's probably what stood out during the interview process, because there was nothing on his resume that said, hey, this is the best candidate, you have to sit down and talk to the guys. And if Bob Ritchie completely blows him away, then that's worth noting. And I think you should be exhausting every option, especially local guys that know the area and know the landscape. Maybe they don't know the landscape from the Power 5 perspective or the SEC perspective or anything like that, but I mean, you need to be exhausting every option. It's not you don't just say Sean Miller did this at Arizona, he's got to be the guy, and if we can't get him, then then it's not worth looking at anyone else. I mean, you have to exhaust all the options.
Well, but I
especially in a
mean,
sport
like, how
this.
many interviews? How many interviews do
How
you
is
have?
too many?
Yeah,
20 is too many.
Okay.
I don't know. If I heard there are 10 interviews lined up for the next week, I'd say okay.
I think that's that's why I ask you to, because you're going to, I think, see and hear of a lot of people being interviewed in this job for this job, and it's because 803-404-6100. I know some of you kind of disagree, but you can weigh in on it. I don't know if there's the perfect candidate. I don't expect. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Sean Miller ends up wanting the job, taking the job. I think if that's the guy, if he's available, you kind of have to take him. You baggage and all. He's the guy because it brings it.
Isn't he the Hugh Freeze of the Shane Beamer cycle?
It's probably a good analogy. Hugh Freeze had a little bit more personal baggage.
Actually did things that people find
like
terrible.
Yeah, like
whereas,
what Sean Miller did, everybody's looking at it like, so you participated in college basketball, you wanted to win. That was
right.
You did what you had to do to win. Got it. All right, we'll take you. You like, as far as we know, Sean Miller didn't have any infidelity problems or any issues with his personal.
Rick Pitino.
Yes, Rick Pitino also had some personal stuff out there.
Yes.
But Sean Miller is basically the guy that you're like, so really, you did what was necessary to win at the highest level of college basketball. I can see why people are perfectly okay with him. But I would think that that's the guy that you say, look, if we go for him, we do whatever we got. Now, after him, I don't know. I don't know who the next. To me, I've said Pat Kelsey.
Yeah,
I'm going Pat Kelsey is the next best option that I've seen mentioned by The Athletic, by all the other beat writers out there as being legitimate candidates. But the thing is I've heard like 15 candidates. 15 what they would call legitimate candidates.
It is tough because there is a line between not having a clue and it's like, okay, you interviewed 20 people. Did you not have any idea about these guys? Did you not vet them enough? And you need to interview everybody because you didn't go into this with a plan. And then there's also, on the other side of it, is you can't just lock in on one. You can't say it's Sean Miller or bust, because if you make it too clear that that's all you wanted and you look desperate and he says no, then you just look, it makes your program look bad, and it makes.
Well, Ray Tanner can't say that. Fans can. Fans can.
No, but I mean, you said, you kind of said it yesterday, of if they make it clear that they're doing everything they can to get Sean Miller, right, and then you strike out and then he takes the Florida job or something like that, then that doesn't reflect great on the program or the state of the program. But yeah, you just can't. I think somewhere between 5 and 10 candidates would be a good number where it's like, okay, we've narrowed down our list. We've done our background research. We know that these guys feel like they'd be good candidates, but we don't have good enough grasp on any of them. So we want to sit them down and talk to them. Like, I don't know. I don't think you want to, if you look like you didn't think about it at all, if you have 15 to 20 guys.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with you just because the selection of guys, whether you're talking, again, there's so many names that have been thrown out, and that's the thing.
I mean, how many names realistically do you think were thrown out yesterday? 20? Was it 20? I mean,
on our show,
not counting Mark Few or Tiago Splitter or LeBron James or guys like that.
Yeah,
like,
not
realistic names.
I would say 12 to 15.
12 to 15, yeah.
I would say, I mean, because you've got guys that I've heard.
If you interview 12 guys, I'm okay with that.
Just real quick, Matt McMahon, Bob Ritchie, Pat Kelsey, Jordan Mincy has been mentioned from Jacksonville, Sean Miller, obviously.
Virgin.
I'm doing this all. Well, no, I'm talking about realistic ones that I've seen. Okay. Mike Boynton has been mentioned. I haven't heard Turgeon's name. I said his name.
Said it.
Richie McKay.
What about Archie?
Wes Miller. Archie's not been mentioned. I'm at 8 right now. BJ Mackey is 9. These are realistic.
So it's
So
the 12 to 15 range.
we're
Some of these guys might not sit down with you. Like I asked you off the air, we didn't talk about it on the air. I said, "Is Cincinnati a better job than South Carolina?" I think you said unequivocally yes.
Yes.
So why would Wes Miller even take an interview here? I don't think he would.
I
Make
don't
any
think
sense
he would,
to.
and I just typically Duke and
Unless
North.
he just wants to get back to the Carolinas.
Yeah, that would be the only reason. 803-404-6100. That's how you can be a part of the program this morning. Again, you can go and join on the Buford Lending live stream as well. Dakar says, "Hey, Bill, why not BJ Mackey?" Again, I don't know. Is BJ has experience recruiting at Wake Forest, so he's got some Power 5 experience. He doesn't have any head coaching experience. That doesn't necessarily mean he's not the best candidate. That's why I'm asking about these interviews.
I'm scared of BJ Mackey being the coach because of how Patrick Ewing is going down at Georgetown right now.
Yeah.
Don't want to see that happen to him.
And Craig, our buddy, weighs in and says Nico Medved also, and that takes us to 10 guys that we've mentioned.
Nico Medved might not be with you though.
He might not. 803-404-6100. We'll continue talking about this. We'll get back to some of your opinions as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Apparently, Jay thinks there's a lot of questions regarding the coaching search. Terry thinks there's just one. Who's next? Maybe they should sort it out with a nice drive around Columbia via Love Chevrolet. That's right. The folks at Love Chevrolet could take care of Jay and Tommy, make them ride around in a car and sort out how many questions is many questions. Is it one or is it multiple? You can answer the question much more easy by visiting Love Chevrolet. Love Chevrolet has known that it is difficult right now looking for a car. There is a issue with high demand, low supply, but at Love Chevrolet, they've got you covered. 14 acres of brand new Chevy. So if you're looking for a new car, truck, or SUV right now, I'm telling you what, that's the place to go. Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. And if you're looking for the best deal, Love Chevrolet's got you covered. Right now, some dealerships are out there charging thousands above MSRP for ridiculous add-ons. And we know it can be a little frustrating when you show up and you get that sticker shock. But at Love Chevrolet, they continue to help their customers. They refuse to take advantage of you right now. So go visit Love Chevrolet. Not only, again, is it the largest selection of vehicles, it's also the best price. They will never sell over MSRP, and they're not about to stick you with some silly add-ons just to jack up the price. Love Chevrolet's done business for 60 years. They continue to do it the right way. Go find out for yourself. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, a place that will never take advantage of you when it comes to high demand and low supply. Again, that's why they've been in business since 1961. Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. Good news, everybody. Patrick Perrette got his keys back yesterday. The keys were successfully returned. His car is out there. Yes, Robin, he has got his keys back.
Yeah, they arrived at like 3 o'clock.
Oh, 3 o'clock. What time did she mail them out? Do you know?
10:47 yesterday.
More than 24 hours.
And they didn't ship until 5. was looking at the tracking. Yeah, she dropped them off at 10 and they left at 5.
That would be frustrating. How are we doing back there?
Fantabulous. I did send you. I don't know if you wanted anything that beaver cut or not.
What is that? Look for Pierce. Oh, noon this Friday. Got it.
Yeah, of course. Being snarky. This is all the promo said. For 9 until noon at Santa's. Please give a date.
I don't know. Figured it.
When you start to read it, you would have.
Yeah, it's confused me, but I've learned because it's on there every time. This one says we have great raffle prizes closest to the pin, $1 million hole sponsored by Buford Lending plus breakfast and lunch. Maybe not
Didn't even catch it.
plus.
Oh.
I was like, plus.
Did you know that actually Buford Lending is expanded? It's now Buford Lending Plus.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So this is the upgraded Buford.
It is. So maybe somebody will actually get that endorsement.
That's what it is.
Good luck to you.
That's why I got the Buford Lending live stream. Oh, that's right, Robin. Today, the kids, Robin, what school district do you teach in?
So who is
Just Brian and Cal.
Brian?
JC had to deal with the he was something with picking up kids or dropping off kids. I can't remember, but he's not. It's just Brian and Brian and Cal. 805 and 830.
Okay. Cool. I got their numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Just making my plan.
Oh, this is interesting. Tommy has weighed in on our text line. He says, Bill, as much as you like to talk about donuts, have you seen the History Channel's segments on the foods that built America? Didn't you say you saw that?
Love the food that built America. Yeah.
They had a new episode Sunday night on the founding of Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts.
Interesting. Yeah, it was the last one I watched was Pizza Wars, the founding of
Yeah, you told me that. That's where I heard.
Pizza Hut and Domino's, and found out that in the 60s, people weren't eating pizza in America. You would only find pizza places in Italian neighborhoods. And you wouldn't really find exclusively pizza places. It was mostly just Italian restaurants that served pizza.
I gotta decide. Lexington, yeah, so you're there with the you're there with Austin goes to Centerville and Ansley goes to Gilbert Middle School. But yeah, today is their final day. So I told them just to survive today, a 4-day. We didn't get these 4-day weekends growing up. I don't remember. They don't do homework and they have a monthly 4-day weekend.
It's a good time to be in school.
It is a good time to be a child. The candy options are much better. Although I was never a candy kid. I was never I was a chocolate.
Oh, when you say candy, you don't count chocolate. You're counting all the
I don't-
sugary
candy. Candy to me is like
Skittles and
gummies and
not a fan of those.
And suckers.
I almost never crave sour candies.
This is the kind of informative text I like to receive. Thank you to Tommy. Says, Bill, as much as you like to talk about donuts, have you seen the History Channel segments on the foods that built America? If you've been on the Buford Lending live stream, you've heard Patrick talk. He watched that. And he said it was the Pizza Wars.
Yeah, we're on season 2 right now. It's on Hulu. They're all very good.
Okay.
It's the same theme of The Men Who Built America, which is a great documentary
Yeah.
series. So the foods that built America, it's fun. It's very interesting. I would suggest it to anyone.
According to Tommy, they had a new episode Sunday night on the founding of Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts. That's my kind of television. Yeah.
I need to watch that.
Donut King on Netflix is interesting too.
Donut King?
Yep. Talk about it on the live stream.
We'll talk about it on the live stream, and then we'll talk about sports on the radio. It's the early game, 107.5 The Game. So Donut King. Hopefully not at all like Tiger King or what was
No, Donut King's a very inspiring story. Apparently LA is known for donut shops. Like
sure.
just family-owned there's just so many donut shops. I think there's one Dunkin' Donuts in all of Los Angeles because the family-owned donut shops are everything there, and the Donut King is a guy who was a Cambodian refugee that came to America, like, barely escaped with his family and went to, like, donut franchise training school and opened up a donut shop and has turned it into a refugee program where he just has helped other Cambodian refugees for generations open up to donut shops. So apparently it's a very common thing in California to go to these Cambodian owned donut shops, and they're apparently just everywhere in LA. It's a good documentary. Fun and inspiring. Fun because of donuts, not because of war torn Cambodia. That's the inspiring part there, that they escape and open donut shops. It's the exact types of donut shops that I love. How many donuts is the perfect breakfast?
Well, that has evolved over time. The perfect breakfast.
Yeah.
I can one.
One?
The perfect breakfast. I can't. Two is I can eat two, but then I kind of feel bad about myself.
No,
You
I
said
was
the
gonna
perfect.
say 2, and then the third one might make your stomach hurt a little
I
bit.
can't remember the last time I ate 2 donuts at a breakfast. And a matter of fact, I've kind of become notorious for if it's not a like a Krispy Kreme chocolate glazed cream filled, that one I'll eat. I'll just eat. And that would be the situation where I could eat 2 donuts. But I've become notorious now for taking a knife and cutting my donuts in half and just basically walking by and eating
a little bit.
Yeah, almost a grazing, if you will. So yeah, we're really, I'm really right now in my health kick. Robin has really propelled me into my health kick.
I've been eating so many anchovies recently.
Really?
Yeah.
It can't be healthy.
I mean, I think there's a limit. I don't know how many anchovies is too much, but in my pantry have a bunch of cans of them now. Just little ones.
I just realized. You see what RL put on the live stream? Because I just realized what tomorrow is now.
St. Pat's.
Yeah.
I gotta find out if I'm going to 5 Points.
If you're going to 5 Points,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna check on Brian Edwards because I didn't hear from him last night.
I agree with that take, Robin. Krispy Kreme donuts are better, but Dunkin' crushes them in the coffee game. If we're just going head to head with their plain black coffee, then maybe that's more debatable. But Dunkin's coffee options are great.
They are, yeah, and that's another sign that I've gotten older. The thing, I mean, because what is it? They're cake donuts, and they're, I guess, frozen or whatever. You have to eat Dunkin' Donuts like the donuts.
They come from frozen?
Somebody told me that one time, but maybe it's just
I
because
believe
they're
it.
cake donuts because they're only good for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Krispy Kreme can get you to about 3 or 4. Well, in defense, Robin, I did work out pretty religiously up until this time 2 years ago. We have a gym here at the office. We have a gym downstairs. I go downstairs and do a lot of work. I want to get just back under 160. Oh, Brian Edwards is good for 805. Nice. Yeah, the goal is to get back to, I think if I can get to 158, that gives me a 2-pound buffer. 7:01 on March the 16th, a Wednesday morning. If you weren't on the Buford Lending live stream, you missed some scintillating discussion about the Donut King, a documentary that is apparently on. It's a documentary, is what I just saw, right?
Yeah.
Okay, on Netflix,
on Hulu,
Hulu. Sorry, no clue. All about a Cambodian refugee who came to Los Angeles and apparently has started a donut empire.
basically.
Boy, am I in the wrong industry. If you want to be a part of this industry, 803-404-6100, how you can join us this morning. We've been talking about a whole bunch of South Carolina things that happened yesterday. South Carolina baseball wins 12-0 over Gardner-Webb, a game that was 7 innings because of a 10-run rule. We've been talking about that a little bit. South Carolina travels up to Tennessee to take on the Volunteers, who are now ranked 7th according to D1 Baseball this coming weekend. We talked a little bit about spring practice, which got going yesterday. We'll play a little bit of audio from Shane Beamer coming up here in a few minutes from yesterday's press conference, where he talks about Spencer Rattler and his debut as a Gamecock. And we talked a little bit about the men's basketball coaching search, Patrick. And you agree with me. You read the text line and you follow Twitter. I think Sean Miller is the big prize out there, especially for South Carolina. South Carolina's looking at Sean Miller and saying, this is the guy. That's the guy we got to have. Or at least the fan base. Let me take that back. The fan base is looking at it saying, that's the guy we want. I think that there's some of you out there on the text I've seen who say, no, we don't need to go down that path. Sean Miller's got a shady history, and we don't need to necessarily follow that. We don't need to bring that element to our program. But I think that's a small minority on that. I think the vast majority would be unified with basketball if Sean Miller is hired. 803-404-6100 if you disagree. After you get past Sean Miller, I'm seeing names just there's no consensus. And the only thing that concerns me about that is I know how some people get. They don't hire your guy, you're going to go ahead and be upset and make it a bad hire. You've seen that, though. You make the face, but you've seen that.
Yeah, but how often is there a consensus and you hire the consensus guy?
Well, for example, I think, correct me again, 803-404-6100. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like football a year and a half ago.
But not when the hire was announced.
No, but
after
initially,
the press conference.
Let's go back. When Will Muschamp was let go, what was that, November, I think. I think the consensus, would you agree, was Hugh Freeze? Is that generally that seemed to be the guy? Like, go get that guy. That seemed to be the. Am I right on that? I don't know if people agree with that or not.
I think so, but there was still people saying, I don't want that anywhere near.
Well, similar to this, very similar to this. Behind Hugh Freeze, it was kind of like Billy Napier.
Right.
There was the Shane Beamer camp. There was multiple guys that I think people were kind of okay with. Matt Campbell had his following. There was again Napier because of some ties and supposed dislike of Clemson and Dabo Sweeney, and then there was the people who didn't want him because of the Alabama background. There was a lot there with Napier. There was a lot there with Shane Beamer. There was a lot there with a lot of other candidates. And so I only say all that because it feels similar to that this hire feels similar to that hire in that after we get past what I think is the main guy, Sean Miller, you're seeing a lot of people. I think I'd have to go back through multiple text messages here. Richard weighs in. And see, this is another name that keeps coming up. Nico Medved would by far be the best candidate of any of those guys that I mentioned. And I think I rattled off 9 of them outside of Sean Miller.
Yeah.
And Patrick, that's what I'm saying. You kind of agree with me on this. Now, we both, just to be upfront about our opinions, we both like Pat Kelsey the most once you go past Sean Miller. Am I fair on that? You in agreement?
Yeah, I like Pat Kelsey. The Nico Medved thing, I think, stems from there's other programs that are going to be after him. And I think Bob Ritchie and maybe Pat Kelsey, people will look at as they weren't going to get another job. They weren't going to get a Power 5 job besides South Carolina. And you, as a fan, you want someone that was coveted by someone else of your caliber. And that's why I think in football, you want to steal away a coach from another school that's going to be sad to lose them. You don't want a guy who doesn't have a job or is an assistant or something like that. Usually you want a proven head coach. And for this situation, you don't want necessarily, not speaking for everyone because I think it is important to know the local scene. But if you hire Bob Ritchie, it's not like Florida was going to interview Bob Ritchie. Florida wasn't going to interview Pat Kelsey, but Nico Medved is probably going to get interviews at all of the openings. I mean, even I don't know if he would get an interview at Maryland or Louisville, but I mean, Florida would have to look at someone like that. Missouri would look at someone like that, and I think that's where people just they want someone that is coveted by everyone. You want to feel like, hey, we got the prized guy, and no one's going to feel that way about Kelsey or Bob Ritchie. But just like Shane Beamer wouldn't have gotten another job. He wasn't going to get hired at another school, but that doesn't mean he wasn't the right hire.
And South Carolina, this is to me, this is an important time for South Carolina basketball because of what you just said. South Carolina's basketball program is not a dumpster fire right now. It's not an absolute mess. It could go that way with the transfer portal, but then you've got the transfer portal to maybe solve some issues. But the bottom line, this is not right now. It's not like somebody's inheriting a program that has been on a string of losing seasons. Yeah. There's been one losing season in the last 7. There's been four out of the last 6 years. South Carolina's had a winning record in the SEC. And I know you can't just I got it. You can't just throw out the COVID season. It happened and coaches and players were involved and everything. Other teams dealt with it. South Carolina wasn't the only one, but you do have to realize that that was the anomaly of the season. South Carolina's had a winning record in 7 of the last 8 seasons.
What was it like the hiring process for Frank Martin? Was that the name that everyone latched onto? Because I have zero recollection of it. I was in high school in Maryland paying zero attention to South Carolina basketball.
Yeah, we knew. I remember very distinctly back then with Martin, they had gotten to the Elite 8, and I can't remember what player it was. I don't think it was Magruder. I could be wrong. I don't think it was Magruder. That John Curry, the athletic director, basically there was questions about his eligibility, and basically the Kansas State athletic director stepped in at the last second and said he couldn't play against Syracuse in the Elite 8 game, and I think Kansas State lost by 4 or 6 or something. And Frank Martin and John Curry butted heads, and it was known that Frank Martin was going to be on his way out.
Why?
Because
of that relationship.
Yeah, and it wasn't being fired; he was leaving.
Right.
He was done with Kansas State, was on his way out. John Groce, if you remember I think it was Groce, was his name, Groce, was kind of the hot. He was at Ohio at the time. He was an Ohio Bobcat head coach. He was kind of the hot name on the list, and he got the Illinois job. That was who Illinois hired, and of course, he didn't last very long. And Brad Underwood would go on to get that job later, but that was kind of the guy.
Where does John Groce coach right now?
I bet he's at a level lower than Ohio.
It's Akron.
He ended up, yeah. So ended up back in the state of Ohio. But I mean, that kind of gives you an idea of how it went. There were some other names that were floated around at that time as to who South Carolina may or may not have been able to hire. Shaka Smart was at VCU at that particular time.
Would have been the home run, right?
Anthony Grant was a name that I think South Carolina was trying to land as well. I think that was pre-Alabama for him. So the bottom line is, yeah, there were a lot of other names that were kind of being tossed around at that particular point in time. But to answer your question, Frank Martin was kind of a bigger name that South Carolina realized they could get early on, and that's who they were able to go out there and land. In this situation, again, you're kind of looking out there and trying to figure out what exactly is the right direction to take this basketball program, because you don't want to hire the guy who's going to let it slide back to where it has historically been, which is bottom shelf,
right,
bottom of the barrel. I mean, you look at South Carolina's time in the SEC. They have, I think, now 10 500 or above seasons in the SEC. Frank Martin is the owner of 5 of those. I mean, that's just 5 of the 10 best seasons in the SEC have been because of Frank Martin. Eddie Fogler's got 2, obviously, that we all know about. So the bottom line is you don't want this thing to go backwards where you're into single-digit victories or you're back to 5 and what would be a 5-13, 7-11 SEC type seasons.
Georgia this year.
Or Georgia, who is far worse.
You've been top half of the SEC
for
the last 5 to 10 years.
So that's what makes it a very interesting hire here, and why South Carolina's got a chance to maybe take a step forward. but we'll see if that's what they're able to do.
I don't know if it's going to be a controversial hire or the reception will be polarizing no matter what. Like if it is a small school guy in South Carolina, if it is Kelsey or Richie, will people be upset because they wanted the household name, or will it be the Shane Beamer-esque? Will it be saying, okay, well, it's a local guy who's going to care about this job and wanted this job more than any other. I'm just intrigued to see what that's like. Maybe one of these guys. I mean, you say Pat Kelsey's high energy. You think he would blow away a press conference like Shane Beamer did? Is he that kind of energy? Or
Yeah.
is he intense? Is he more intense or
Which one?
Pat Kelsey.
I would never use intense to describe Kelsey, but it's energetic. I don't know.
If you could
Intense
describe
to me
the-
is a little bit different.
Like
Energetic. Like Pat Kelsey is going to win. Pat Kelsey will win the press conference.
Okay.
Pat Kelsey will win the
Well, Bob
offseason.
Ritchie.
Bob's a lot more subdued.
Okay.
Bob is intense. I can see where you're going with that. I've never used the word intense.
Because I mean, that's what it was with Shane Beamer. I mean, people knew him, and it wasn't like, oh, they hired this guy. But after the press conference, everyone said, "Oh yeah, this is the guy."
Yeah, the thing about Shane Beamer was this was his dream job. This is what he's wanted. Pat Kelsey's dream job is to go back to Ohio for Xavier, where he played, or for Cincinnati, where he's from. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio, and obviously everything, but he played point guard. Yeah, that would be him going back there. But Pat Kelsey coming here, it would be his energy would be infectious. He would be a very similar with a coaching background, and he's had success at Winthrop, and there was some success this year in his first year at College of Charleston. I like him. I really like that hire. I think if South Carolina doesn't get Sean Miller, and by the way, let me ask this: 803-404-6100. Patrick, we may have to put out a poll on this because I'm very interested. Anonymous texter says, "I think you are wrong on the fans and Sean Miller, but that's just me." And I if you anonymous texter, if you're listening, I'm not going to give out your phone number, but hopefully you just sent that text in. When you say you think I'm wrong on the fans, do you mean that the fans, by and large, think Miller is the number one guy? Because I'm interested. Because I kind of want to put out a poll on this, and we'll see this. I want to see what people weigh in. Who is your top choice?
Yeah. Is the poll question, is Sean Miller
the top choice? Is Sean Miller? Yeah, if you want to put that out, we'll retweet it. Is Sean Miller your number one choice? At least he's been mentioned. Rick Pitino's not an option, so and Phil Jackson is not an option, and you get the point. Let's stick with what we know to be a realistic. Sean Miller's being mentioned in now. Whether Sean Miller has any interest or not, I certainly have no clue. As Patrick said, he may think he's got a chance for Florida or a much bigger job coming up, maybe this year, maybe next year, who knows. But I am kind of interested to know that. Another anonymous texter weighs in, says Greg Marshall. And I don't know if that means it's great. Greg Marshall is another guy that you add him to the list, Patrick. That takes us to 11 realistic names. I'll tell you the problem with Greg Marshall. The recruiting for Greg Marshall, especially in this state, would be nearly impossible. Outside of the state, I don't know how he would be received. Greg is a great X's and O's coach. I used to go up to Winthrop a lot when I was coaching at Lexington, coaching AAU, and I watched his practices. I'm well aware of the way the players of how those practices go. Let's just say that I'm very aware of how the Greg Marshall practices would play out.
Right. All right. Well, the poll's going out. Would Sean Miller be your number one choice for the South Carolina job? Yes, home run hire. No, too much baggage.
Okay. Yeah, get it out there. We'll retweet that. You can go to Patrick @_Patrick Perrette is how you can vote on that. I'll be kind of interested to see if that is who people will go with as the number one choice. 803-404-6100. We'll continue on this. We'll get into some college football talk as well. Shane Beamer audio from yesterday as he met with the media and discussed Spencer Rattler's first day. We'll get to all that and more. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Actually got out and ran around with Austin last night after soccer practice. Was feeling pretty good. I mean, scored a goal on him, pointed a finger at him, made sure he knew that I was a better soccer player. They're young at this age. At this age, he's 9. I'm 39. I can still brag a little bit. I can still talk about how good I am. Those days are going to come to a close. And right now, I'm taking advantage of what QC Kinetics has been able to do for me. Yeah, I've had some knee issues and some thigh issues, some issues with tissue and muscles. And QC Kinetics, though, they've been able to get me back in shape. They'll do the same for you. Give them a phone call today for a free consultation, 803-281-6860. You can get out in the yard and be able to score touchdowns on your son or daughter. Tell them how great you are, maybe win in the basketball game in the front yard as well. Be able to brag about how you beat up on your son and daughter as well, all because of QC Kinetics and how they got you to living the life you deserve to live with no joint pain holding you back. If you've been suffering from joint pain, if you've had aching hips, knees, you got problems with your shoulders, your lower back, the unique protocols at QC Kinetics, well, they were created by a physician with years of study and restorative medicine. Give them a phone call today to find out what I'm talking about and get a free consultation. 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. You can get real, lasting relief right now with natural biologic treatments at QC Kinetics. They'll restore and repair damaged tissue with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. So give them a phone call this morning. Get that free consultation, 803-281-6860. I feel like I'm having. Oh yeah, what happened to the Wordle golf score? Patch, Jen, did you win it for us? Got to find out if Jen won it.
On what?
I don't know. They were doing that Wordle golf score thing. I don't know what the way they were doing it. No, baseball team is not ranked right now. No, baseball team is not ranked. The South Carolina baseball team is not ranked.
3 out of 4 this week does not cover up the fact that you got swept and lost to Xavier last week.
I don't think they'll be ranked if they beat Tennessee 2 out of 3. Let's just say that Greg Marshall's practices are intense. And that might be an understatement. Greg Marshall is intense, actually. Greg Marshall's intense. Pat Kelsey's fun. I don't know of a better way. I just like Pat. I'm a fan of Pat Kelsey. Gamecock Larry is on the line, but I think he's confused. Gamecock Larry's official airtime is 6:20, not 7:20. So we may leave Gamecock Larry on hold for a little while and upset him because we're into the discussion. Huh?
He fell asleep. And I said, well, I fall asleep when Bill talks, so I can see
That's
that.
fair. That is fair.
But
yeah.
apparently, Root Hog called at 6:30, and he actually slept through that phone ringing.
Oh, really?
So he's exhausted.
How does he sound? Energetic or a little down this morning?
Oh, he sounds pretty good.
Okay.
He's wanting to ask more about the coaching search and your thoughts on Sean Miller. I know you've been giving those already, but see, he may have missed it because he slept. Because you spoke.
Going back to Robin talking about working out and me, I started again going down to that little gym down there and working out last days. Last night was the best I've slept like through the night.
It is amazing what a difference it makes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm going down there and killing myself. I did 12 minutes on the elliptical yesterday and I do a lot of core work. I'm not down there like trying to get myself for any kind of WWE competition or.
We had a strength and stretch at bar 3 yesterday. So it was just a lot of strength training type stuff.
I need to
kind of feeling it today.
Before I go down there today, maybe I'll just zone out here during one segment. I need to study stretches.
Oh, we can do a segment out here. It'd be fun.
On stretches, just because I need to become more flexible.
Yeah. Do a pigeon stretch.
The pigeon stretch.
Mhm.
Patrick, have you heard of the pigeon stretch?
No. Which one's that?
We'll do that in the next break. That'll be fun.
Okay.
The pigeon stretch. Okay.
Yep. I'll show you.
So, is there anything on the
Yeah. Razor remote. Patrick was telling a really interesting story about him yesterday, I think, on the live stream. Kelly, I think we will be watching the pigeon stretch. Okay, Robin knows what the pigeon stretch is. This is gonna next break. Stretches with the early game.
That'd be fun.
We'll turn the computer around.
Oh, I can't do the pigeon stretch.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to let Jen show me in the next segment. In the next break segment.
There's no chance either of us could do it.
All right. This pigeon stretch sounds. What do you mean there's no chance either of us can do it?
Can't do it.
Or men can't do it?
You can't do it. Definitely not in jeans.
For tall people? Oh.
Not with a bum knee either.
My knees are fine now.
They just got better.
Started swimming. Yeah. I mean, now you got me concerned that I'm going to do this stretch and that like
tear something.
Yeah, I'm terrified all of a sudden. Look for Pearson Fowler. That's right. 107.5 The Game. We will be out and about Sand Hills Safe Federal Credit Union this Friday, 9 a.m. until noon. You can get some baseball tickets. There's going to be some giveaways, prizes from Safe Federal Credit Union. And Pearson will be previewing the women's opening round game. I think 2 o'clock. I didn't look at the exact time. I think it's 2 o'clock on Friday over at Colonial Life Arena. They'll actually find out their opponent tonight as the women's portion will have their play-in game tonight. Let me see who it is. I'm trying to go back and think. That'll be Incarnate Word and Howard. That game will be on ESPNU at Colonial Life Arena. So if you want to check that out in person, I'm guessing tickets are readily available.
I would think so.
I would think that if you want to go out and watch some Incarnate Word and Howard tonight at 7 o'clock at Colonial Life Arena, I don't have anything in front of me that suggests I'm going to go with tickets for $3.
Where are those schools?
Howard is in Maryland, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Incarnate Word, I believe, is in New Jersey, Rhode Island?
Very far from New Jersey.
Texas.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Howard's in. I think Howard might be in the District of Columbia. I'm not sure if it's in Maryland or Northern Virginia, or DC, but it's a DC school. Yes, San Antonio.
Okay. All right. For some reason, I had it narrowed down to either the Northeast or Texas, and I wasn't 100% sure. And I really should have gone with Texas because now that I think about it, I think Baylor schedules a yearly football game against Incarnate Word
Oh, I
to
didn't know they
pick
had
up a victory. They used to do that with Art Briles there.
Beautiful looking campus, actually. Maybe I'll check it out. I'm going to San Antonio in May.
There you go. Get out there for that. And get out to Safe Federal Credit Union this coming Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Pearson Fowler will be out there. So, again, 727 Fashion Drive in Columbia. Go by and see Pearson this coming Friday, 9 a.m. to noon at Sand Hills Safe Federal Credit Union. 803-404-6100. Patrick, the more we talk about it, and I want to get into some football talk, but right now we're kind of talking South Carolina head coaching search for basketball. Maybe I am wrong on this. Is Sean Miller that polarizing of a hire? I feel like it's the home run hire. I feel like if you get Sean Miller, that's the way you go. Jay from the Interstate says if you're going to consider Miller, you might as well add Will Wade. Don't know how you can hire or consider Miller. Don't know what kind of punishment he will receive. What if he can't recruit for 2 years? How will that help the program? You know, at the end of the day, I think you take the chance.
I agree.
Sean Miller, if you look at the overall college basketball record, is a really good coach. Now, I am fascinated if everything is blown over for him, if it's smoothed over and he's okay. I am fascinated to know how he'll recruit without the backing of Nike. That's actually my biggest concern. Nike helped Sean Miller in Arizona. He's not going to get that from Under Armour. Under Armour's not going to help him in the same fashion and manner that Nike did. That is the biggest concern I have with him. So now he's got to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of how he recruits. Some of maybe the tactics that were used in Arizona will not be used here. I can pretty much guarantee that. I still think that it's probably of the realistic candidates, Patrick, it's probably the best hire. But why do you think that this is becoming so polarizing? Like, I would think South Carolina fans are like, you know what? If you were that desperate, and I'm not going to go back and read some of the text messages like from months past and see who was bashing Frank Martin, but if you were that desperate to run out a coach who was winning, Frank Martin was winning. There were winning seasons, and there were 500 and above seasons in the SEC.
And he was doing it the right way.
I'm thinking you're then in the boat of, okay, Sean Miller. Yeah, I agree. Will Wade is out of bounds. Will Wade is,
and his
Will Wade's going to be put on a lot more probation, by the way, than Sean Miller.
Will Wade does not have Sean Miller's resume
True.
either. I mean, Sean Miller was at Xavier for 5 years. He won the A-10 3 of those 5 years and won the conference championship the other year. So 4 of the 5 years, he was either the regular season or conference tournament champion. He was at Arizona for 11 years, had 0 losing seasons. I think he had 4 30-win seasons, never had a losing record, won 5 Pac-10 titles. I guess they switched to the Pac-12. So 5 Pac-12 titles, and went to the tournament 7 of his 11 years. And they were top 10, 7 of the 11 years they had broken the top 10. So, I mean, his resume blows Will Wade's out of the water. Just if you're just comparing them because they both have NCAA violations, that's just a disingenuous argument because Sean Miller is clearly a better basketball coach. I mean, that's why people want him, because he wins.
803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. Yeah, he does win. And again, Steve weighs in a big no for Miller. I really am kind of fascinated to see where some of this is going as it pertains to what people think about Sean Miller. Because again, to me, Pat Kelsey is probably the right hire. I think Pat Kelsey would be the guy that you would definitely want to go out and get. And so we'll just have to wait and see. 803-404-6100. Jen, let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Gamecock Larry up this morning. Larry, how you? No. Good morning, Larry. How are you doing?
You there?
Jen did that. I did not do that. I don't
You there? Well, I was awake this morning when I heard you talking about me, but that's all right. I wasn't going to call in, but I must have dozed off because I woke up a little later and looked over there and I had a missed call from old Root Hall, called him back. He didn't answer. But let me tell you, Bill, I didn't think. I mean, do you actually think we need Sean Miller? Why don't we go out and get Slick Rick, Big A off our Wade, and all them others? We don't need, we fired a coach was winning, a coach that was clean, run a good program, the players loved him, and what got Frank Martin fired was some of these Gamecock, so-called Gamecock fans that didn't like him when he came here, because it reminds me of a drill sergeant in the Army. He took care of his men. He loved them, but he made them total odd. And then you say, go get Sean Miller. You don't know what he might get 2 or 3, 4 years suspension or something from the NCAA. But like I said before, all you guys just keep talking to, well, I ain't going to go there because I don't want to say nothing I ain't supposed to say. But I just think about Sean Miller. What did he get in trouble for?
Doing what everybody else does in college basketball.
Frank Martin didn't do it.
It's true. It's a good
Now,
point.
what's he got to say about that, Bo, buddy?
I gotta just.
Frank Martin didn't do it.
I don't want to disparage Frank Martin. I don't want to compare the records, but I don't want to that would be kind of mean. I understand what you're saying, but there was also a level of success that Sean Miller had that wasn't quite attained here.
Yes, sir. You're saying go ahead and hire Sean Miller because he can win, regardless of what he's run, and regardless of what kind of mess he's in. You say go ahead and hire him because he's a winner. Is that what you're saying?
We're saying that a lot of people are saying that.
Yeah,
yes, they want a coach that wins.
Yeah, the bottom line here is that you were fed up. You were fed up. You didn't watch the second half of the Mississippi. Did you watch the second half of the Mississippi State game? And I know the answer because I heard what you said.
What did I say?
You said you cut it off. You cut it off and went to bed.
You just didn't hear me right. You put words in my mouth.
No. We will pull the audio. You said last Friday morning that you cut the game off.
What did I say, Bill?
You said you cut the game off. You stopped watching the South Carolina basketball game.
I did. I cut the game off. I didn't say I cut it off because of Frank Martin. I cut it off because the players wasn't playing, wasn't doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay. All right. So you quit on your team. You quit on the team is what I hear.
No, I didn't quit on my team. I just quit listening to them.
The laugh.
Okay. You go ahead. You scared of me. You won't even answer your phone. You just called me 3 minutes before I woke up because I seen the time on my phone. And I called you right back. Got a mailbox. Hadn't been set up yet. Get you some post hole diggers, buddy. Dig your hole and set your mailbox up. Be a man. Call me. Talk to you later. I love you, Bill.
Love you too, Larry. Good hearing from you.
But I want to get this right. You're saying go ahead and hire. I forgot his name.
Sean Miller. Yeah, we'll get. Let me get it. We got a break.
Okay.
I desperately hope that Sean Miller is the hire, just so Larry has to spin it the next day.
803-404-61. Yeah, so
he's a winner. He's a winner.
He's a proven winner.
He's a proven winner.
He's a proven winner.
Gamecocks going to the Final Four. That's what we'll hear the next day.
Yeah, Final Four in 2014 or 2024. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Hot takes like that require an air conditioner, a working air conditioner. That's why I go to AAA Heating and Air. I need my HVAC unit to be working properly. You go home, you've been dealing with Gamecock Larry, you want to just sit in the air conditioner and have a lemonade and relax. That's exactly what you need. And we all know with the summers coming up here, and not too far away, you need that air conditioner working, not just to deal with Gamecock Larry, but to deal with the summer. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Make sure that heating and air unit is working properly. $59 is all it will cost you when you tell them you heard it here with Bill Gunner. Get them out to your house. Let them work on that unit. Make sure it's working so that this summer you enjoy the summer, especially when you're inside. 803-677-1500. If you're in the need for a new heating and air unit, now is the time to call them. They'll also offer you a $1,500 rebate. They'll buy back your old unit, then work with you. No money down, 0% financing for those who qualify on a brand new unit. That is saving you a lot of money, and that's exactly what AAA Heating and Air will help do for you. And the best part about everything, when you get that brand new unit, they don't just take off. They don't just see if it's working and then disappear into the night. They offer you a 15-year parts and labor warranty to make sure that AAA Heating and Air new unit continues to work. Call Roy and Dana Finley today. Get the family out there and let them treat you like your own family member. Call AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. I am coming to the conclusion. Oh, yeah, stretching. We'll do that in a second. Jen's reading, I think. Jen's reading. You saw her there. She was reading something. All right, Jen. We're going to see this stretch. Here, I'll turn my laptop out into the hallway. Patrick has said I would not be able to do this with jeans. Like, you don't wear jeans too.
Yeah, but
All right, what do we got?
all right. So get down.
Okay.
Easy. You're gonna get down like this.
Uh-huh.
Put one leg, bring this leg up.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Kind of pull a little bit.
I'm not doing that. That's a torn meniscus. That will tear my meniscus right there. Actually, I can't.
Yeah.
What's already torn, I guess, can't be torn again.
No.
It can just be misplaced.
So bring that up, yep, and bring your foot in a little bit. And it opens you up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And then start lifting it down.
Oh, that's adorable.
It is. It's a good spread.
Patrick, how do we look? Can you see both of us?
Bill, you're kind of covered up by the door, but you're kind of there. We go. That's a little bit better. That is better.
Turns out I'm not as I'm limber on my left side.
There is one side.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's hurting my knee a little bit. Let's just yeah. That's good. You get my back pump?
That was good. See?
Yeah.
Look at that. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah. That's what we do. Y'all couldn't hear it on the live stream. My back, like, it helped my back. Correct.
See, there you go.
Crack. Yeah, Artia, you were hopping on the live stream at just the right time. I don't know what that really did for me, though. Very confused. Oh, it started pouring outside.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I didn't even know it was going to rain.
It's going to rain today because I keep track of that now because of soccer. But, when we came in, it was dry.
What do we get to do in the next break?
I don't know. We can hit golf balls or putt golf balls.
Did you see the tweet we were just tagged in? By Bun? Is this Bun from the text line?
Yeah, normally.
Come on, man.
$7:43 on a Wednesday morning, March the 16th. Patrick, are you surprised that Sean Miller is this controversial? Bun on the bun. Also, we're not necessarily. Sean Miller is going to be hired by somebody. I mean, that's Miller's going to be, whether it's this year or next year, Miller's going to get a job. He will be back in the game. I've talked to enough people to know that Sean Miller's basketball coaching career is far, far, far from finished. And on Twitter, Bun says, we are truly in a bizarro world. The university's flagship radio station, 107.5 The Game, and its hosts are out here arguing that we should hire a cheater because everyone else is doing it. Seriously, that's what Patrick Pratt and Will Gunner are saying today. I'm saying hire the best candidate. Number one, if you're going to put that in, if you're going to send that, send in your best candidate. I have no problem with arguing. Sean Miller is a very interesting hire, and he's going to be hired by somebody. And if it's not South Carolina, it may be Florida. It may be. It won't be Louisville. It could be Maryland. It could be.
Could be.
That's more realistic. We talk about Rick Pitino and what he went through. Maryland desperately tried to get him.
Bad. They wanted him so bad.
I think it's. I am a little surprised.
I'm not sure everyone knows. I think people think that Sean Miller did something different than what he did.
Yeah, he said Bun on the Twitter said cheater. So I think he knows. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting time for South Carolina basketball because again, and I'll continue. Frank Martin is leaving the program in far better shape than he found it. The historical nature of South Carolina suggests that this is essentially the best run of basketball in the last 40 years. The winning seasons, the SEC. I get that there's no NCAA tournaments. There's one, and an incredible run. Best South Carolina, to me, the best South Carolina athletic achievement I've ever seen. I've seen them. I saw them be very good in baseball, get to national championships prior to winning. I'd seen that. I knew South Carolina baseball was good. I'd never seen anything like I saw from Frank Martin's Final Four run. Now you're at a position where you've got to make a new hire. And I'm not saying all of you. I know some of you are weighing in on the text line, and I'm not saying all of you. Oh,
different Bun.
Different Bun. Sorry,
yeah,
different
Bun. Person's name was Bun.
Thank you. And Eddie, calm down. We're not trying to sell you on Sean Miller. But
Bill said he wants Pat Kelsey.
Yeah, I'm more in favor of Pat Kelsey. If you want my opinion, please go hire Pat Kelsey.
I want Pablo Prigioni.
There we go. Thank you. Who is the Europeans that we want?
They're not all European. Some of them are South American. I want Igor Kolkushlov.
That's a good one.
Serbian. He's the lead assistant for the Mavericks right now. I would like Patrick Mutombo. Shockingly, no relation to Dikembe Mutombo, but he is coach of the 905 Raptors. Thiago Splitter, Brazilian, just retired. He's an assistant for the Spurs. I've been saying go European and recruit a whole team of international players. It doesn't have to be European.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be European. We can go South America. We can go Africa. We can go Europe. We can go Australia. I don't want a whole team of Australians necessarily because it's a smaller country. So I wouldn't like to restrict myself to that, but I would like a whole team of international players.
Yeah, we're just look.
But Sean Miller will win.
He will.
I did like that line from Game McClary though. So we should hire him because he's a winner. Maybe. I'm not saying yes or no, but like, is that not a good reason to hire someone?
I'm gonna have to go back through a lot. I will be interested, and I will do this at some point because a lot of you are out there. Brad says all these people complaining about Miller are clueless. Ask them if they would turn down Coach K or Cal or Bill Self. They've all been involved in paying players. I get it. I think it's just an interesting time. We'll continue talking about this. We'll get out to the Love Chevy phone lines when we return. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Bill, do you know who this person is? That's fine. He's a soccer coach. He's coached at pretty much every major club in the world. Trey said the answer is Jose Mourinho.
There's an article that now is out on the State about Frank Martin in the final minutes of the team meeting.
Mm-hmm. Paying DeAndre Ayton $10,000 a month to go to Arizona.
What?
Craig said, can you tell us what he was accused of?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, paying players, basically. I mean, yeah, let's do it. If you just make it established that South Carolina is the destination for all the top international players, it'll be like there's an NBA, right? There's an NBA thing that does that. It'll be the foreign exchange program for future NBA stars. The next Luka, the next Nikola Jokic, the next Giannis will come to South Carolina. No Gigi Jackson, but if we get Pat Kelsey, Gigi may reconsider because Charleston has also recruited him. Oh. They've recruited the number one player in the country. This killed our football talk.
Yeah, it really did. I'm just kind of.
I hope Deshaun Watson doesn't sign today so we can talk about it tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't. I meant to read that text, but the guy came back in and fixed it. Would Sean Elliott even accept the job? I was going to add that one to our list of. He came back and said Miller. I can't make fun of him now. The break was actually a lot shorter than that. Was good. I was afraid I was going for the second time I was going to be coming back into the bed. I didn't think we were discussing a controversial topic. We were just kind of going through basketball names, and obviously Sean Miller is up there. He's been reported as a guy that South Carolina is interested in, but apparently it is controversial. We'll get to more text messages, but let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Thomas wants to weigh in. Thomas, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Morning, fellas. I am all in on Sean Miller, and honestly, anyone who is not in on Sean Miller because of, quote, baggage has their head in the sand. And I want to win. College basketball has been the Wild West far too long, and I don't care. And finally, anyone who is comparing Will Wade to hiring Sean Miller is comparing apples to diarrhea. I'll hang up and listen.
It's a new one. It's a new one. Yeah.
But
I mean, again,
it's not a good comparison.
It's not. It's different. And it should be pointed out, Sean Miller was not fired for NCAA improprieties. Like Will Wade was. It's interesting, and I'm really this is what's fun about doing a sports talk show and being able to sit and discuss certain situations with a large group of people, and you have access to us this morning, 803-404-6100. Coming up in about 10 minutes, though, Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider will join us coming up at 8:30. Kyle Thompson will join us as we talk a little golf. But I find it fascinating, Patrick, where we've arrived at the conversation this morning with how polarizing Sean Miller is for people, because there's some staunch people on our text line. I've tried to get to some of them. Eddie, who sent in text, is one of them. Brad sends in. He says the history suggests that Frank Martin should be the head basketball coach. This may be the biggest mistake USC has ever made. I mean, there's a lot of you that are weighing in with some really strong opinions and understandable, but I'm kind of baffled at how polarizing Sean Miller really was. I didn't think he was that polarizing as a hire.
I mean, we're at the polls up right now at _Patrick and it still is at 67% say yes, Sean Miller is their number one candidate. It's a home run hire. And some of the comments are, I mean, pretty much what you'd expect. The last comment was from Donnie. No point in making the tournament when your coach gets you suspended from the postseason play for the next 3 years. Serious question. Would you rather not play in the postseason because you have a postseason ban or because you weren't good enough to play in the postseason for 3 years? Is it more embarrassing to not make it because your program has a postseason ban or because you weren't good enough to play in the NIT or the NCAA tournament for 5 consecutive years?
Christopher weighs in. It's Sean Miller is the number one choice for me. Then Boynton. Getting rid of Frank to hire Bob Ritchie would make me want Frank Martin back. Allen said, we will miss Frank Martin, but hire Sean Miller. Justin says, if Tanner was smart enough to hire Sean Miller, that would immediately show me that this administration is ready to start winning in basketball. Oh, polarizing. Interesting. It's fun discussing it with you. We got another hour. Unfortunately, Brian Edwards and his knowledge, he'll be up next. We'll talk with him.
This is a long article. The Frank article.
I'm genuinely surprised at maybe I shouldn't be, just how over the top some people are with not wanting to hire Sean Miller. Yeah, correct. Miller was let go before NIL. Maryland and Turgeon parted ways. That technically wasn't a firing. Oh, that's Travis. I mean, yeah, if they got, I mean, I don't know. Rick, how is Miller? All right, who is an inspiring hire? If a guy with Miller's career record is uninspiring, who is a inspiring hire? Larry, I don't think they're going to tell us how much. I mean, we'll find out when the contract comes out. $8:01 on a Wednesday morning, March the 16th, one day before the official start of the NCAA tournament. We do have some play-in games tonight, but we will be joined in just a few minutes by Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider and MajorWager.com, to discuss his picks as it pertains to this coming week, maybe some long shots. We'll also, Brian's a Florida fan. He's in tune with what's going on in Gainesville. We've obviously spent the last hour, Patrick, that derailed. I had other topics I wanted to go to. And we'll try and get to those here this hour as well. There's some news with Deshaun Watson that's really entertaining as it pertains to the NFL. There was some college football news, obviously, yesterday with South Carolina starting spring practice and Spencer Rattler making his debut. But I am just really intrigued by the differing opinions on Sean Miller. And Patrick, I'll be honest, it doesn't appear there's a gray area on that. People are either, yes, that is the guy, or no, we have nothing to do with him. Very interesting. Patrick's got a poll question out as well at _Patrick Perrette is where you can go and check that out. We'll be joined by Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider, here in just a second. Real quick, that Deshaun Watson news, what are you kind of expecting today?
Well, so the news right now is that Watson has met with 3 teams, the Saints, Panthers, and the Browns, and today he's expected to meet with the Falcons. Those are the 4 teams in the running, and apparently, according to Pro Football Talk and Mike Florio, the Texans have approved the trade proposals for all those teams. But Deshaun Watson has a no-trade clause, so essentially he gets to pick where he's going to get traded to. So there's 4 teams in the running: Saints, Panthers, Browns, and what was the 4th one I said? Falcons. Saints, Panthers, Browns, Falcons. So 3 teams in the NFC South and the Browns, and that's why Baker Mayfield posted a long message on Twitter yesterday basically saying, I love Cleveland, I want to be here, and we'll see what happens, but thank you for everything. So he's going to be with the Falcons today, and we might have news as soon as today that Deshaun Watson has decided on his team and a trade has been approved to one of those 4 teams, and that will shake the league up tremendously right away.
It would definitely make a big difference. Baker Mayfield put out a weird what did he put out on Instagram?
No, it was on Twitter. He tweeted it out. Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram. I have never.
He might have. Most guys post these things on both. So
I
he might
never
have put it
feel
on Instagram as well.
so old as when we start, and I use Twitter. We'll talk more about that. Baker Mayfield put out kind of a thank you to Cleveland Brown fans yesterday and saying he doesn't know what's next. It was very cryptic almost. That makes me think the Browns have somehow worked their way.
Well, they're one of the 4 finalists.
But I'm just saying it's almost like that Baker knows he's going to Houston to be their franchise player.
He's a Texas guy.
Very strange. Very strange, I thought. But we'll cover more of that here this hour. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. We're joined by our good buddy, Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider. He was out in Vegas last week, living up to the Vegas Insider name. How was that trip out there to Las Vegas, Brian?
Oh, man, I had a blast. It was real good. Friday night was especially good with the games. Saturday was not as good with the games. Sunday, I had Texas A&M for a loss and didn't really like anything on Sunday. So it was a mixed bag of sports results, but a good time was had throughout.
Before we get to the picks for this coming week, or I should say the first 2 rounds here, you're a Florida guy. We've talked about it multiple. You're a Florida Gator guy. We've talked about it multiple times. Mike White, were you in the boat that you were ready to see him move on? Because it looked like he leaves basically because he was either going to be let go or next year the seat was going to be extremely hot, almost to the point that it was going to be his last year.
Yeah, look, I don't particularly like the Florida fan base, although I'm a part of it. And this goes for a lot of fan bases. The Florida fan bases are spoiled, and it's hard to be the man that replaces the legend. And, it was kind of getting toxic with the fans. And, he's got a lot of kids, I think 5 young ones. And I think he just wanted to kind of get out of that environment, and I don't blame him. And it works for all parties. Florida just spent a lot of money on Mullen's buyout, on this new staff for Napier, an $8.75 million buyout. And the new coach was going to be awfully costly. And I don't think Scott Strickland wanted to make a move. He might maybe had to make a move, but in the last couple of weeks, it was kind of rumored that if Ole Miss let Kermit go, maybe, Mike White would go there, maybe go to Butler. I don't think anybody really saw the Georgia thing coming, but I think it works for all parties. And I think it's a good hire for Georgia. Mike White is a class character, good individual, and he's a better coach than Florida Gator fans make him out to be, in my opinion. And we'll just see. In terms of candidates, man, I think Strickland will shoot high. I don't know if he may go for Tony Bennett at Virginia, Scott Drew at Baylor. I'm not saying he could get either guy, but I would think he's going to shoot high. And if that doesn't work out, we'll see what Murray State does in the tournament. But McMahon is a hot name in the mid-major ranks. We'll see. I think a lot of people are going to want the Florida job. I think it's the best job available right now, in my opinion. We'll see.
So, Brian, big weekend coming up, obviously. Where does this rank, this opening weekend of the tournament? Where does this rank in sports weekends for you? Super Bowl, where is it?
Man, I'm a hoops junkie, so this is probably number 1 for me, although obviously I love the bowl season. I love the NFL playoffs, etc. But this is probably my uno, probably.
Do you get into the bracket, filling out brackets and stuff, or because you're a Vegas guy, do you look at it from a more traditional gambling sense?
Well, I kind of hinted at it with Gunner on text. Both. I love the brackets, but man, I had the red eye like midnight Pacific Monday night, and I have not even done a bracket yet because I'm trying to concentrate on getting the games handicapped. So I'm both. But so far in my preparation, I have mostly just been breaking down the game. So I don't even have Final Four picks for you guys, but I got the games I sent Gunner, and I'm ready to go on some individual games right now for sure.
Let's look at those as we get ready. Again, the official start to the NCAA tournament tomorrow, obviously, the traditional Thursday start. But let's start there. Boise State, Memphis. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing Boise State in the NCAA basketball tournament. Brian, you might remember it. Patrick, you might be a little bit too young. My memory of Boise State in the NCAA basketball tournament has more to do with Tyus Edney going the length of the court for a layup there. And what was that, 96, I believe? Does that seem right? 97 there, the Tyus Edney O'Bannon boys?
95, but that was against Missouri.
No, that's my point. What court was it on?
Oh, was that out in Boise?
That was out in Boise.
Gunner.
That's
Gotcha. My apologies. My fault.
That's right. That's my memory of Boise State in the NCAA tournament. Nothing to do with them. Totally to do with their court. But Boise State and Penny Hardaway and Memphis. Penny Hardaway got it turned around. That was a bad start of the season, but here they are, NCAA tournament, and you like the Boise State team there plus 2.5.
I do, and look, I'm sure as you research the tournament, you're going to see all these negative stats about the Mountain West, and Wyoming came up short last night, and all these stats you see about the Mountain West are accurate. They have not been very good in the tournament, but I think Boise State and San Diego State can be the exceptions this year. Boise State is playing really good ball right now. They've won 3 in a row. They've won 8 of 9, won 6 and 3 against the spread. During that stretch, I like this team a lot. I like Leon Rice a lot as a coach. I've been surprised for about a decade that none of the Pac-12 teams have come after him. And look, the Mountain West was a lot better this year. They got 4 teams in the tournament, and if Utah State didn't have a bunch of injuries, they might have been there too. UNLV got hot late in the year. I think it's a better conference this season than many. And like you said, the Penny, once he went on that tirade that he got all that flack for, they played great basketball, beat Houston twice. But look, Houston, they're not whole. Sasser, their best player, got hurt back in December. Another double-figure scorer got hurt. And, look, I know UConn's good, but I didn't think the AAC was that great this year, and I think Boise State's going to win this game outright. I've got them plus 2.5.
Real quick, I just got to say, I'm watching this as I'm listening to you. I'm watching the Tyus Edney buzzer beater. Do you guys agree with me? The one thing that I wish the NCAA tournament would bring back is the home courts. Now they go to the very generic basketball court that they send out. If you see, you know what I'm talking? Because I'm looking to this Boise State court. It's got the blue and red paint inside the 3-point area. It's got the Bronco on it. Are you with me on missing some of that?
Sure. And I remember that 95 UCLA team. Edney ended up spraining his ankle, and Cameron Dollar, out of Atlanta Douglas, was a true freshman and had to come in and play great and help win that national title for him. As Edney, I think he sprained his ankle in the Elite 8 or the Sweet 16, and then UCLA beat Arkansas. It was a great Final Four.
It was a really good one. Yeah, you had Big Country Reeves for Oklahoma State. You had a really good North Carolina Arkansas Final Four game out there in Seattle. Longwood taking on Tennessee. Tennessee rolls over Texas A&M in the SEC championship game. Tennessee got hot. A lot of discussion. Real quick, your thoughts on that game, but also Tennessee, should have they been a higher up seed? A lot of people kind of making a fuss for that maybe could have gotten onto the 1 seed, definitely should have been a 2 seed. They end up as a 3 seed. So Longwood, Tennessee, and just your thoughts on the Vols seeding.
Yeah, I thought Tennessee should have definitely been a 2, especially the way they played last week. Tennessee has got potential to go a long way, but I don't like them laying 17 in this game for a variety of reasons. I got to give a hat tip to Chris Fallica, the Bear, on this stat. Rick Barnes' team's last 13 games in the tournament, won 11-1 against the spread since December 22nd. Tennessee has won by more than 17 only 3 times. They just played 3 tough games in 3 days. Sunday, they fly back to Tampa. Fly back to Knoxville from Tampa. And now they've got to go to Indianapolis, an early afternoon game. Longwood is rested. They haven't played since March 6th. They've won 8 games in a row. They've covered 4 straight since Christmas. They're 19-1 straight up, 13-6 in 19 lined games. They shoot 37.3% from 3-point range, 34th in the nation, and they've got 3 really good players in Deshaun Wade, Isaiah Wilkins, and Justin Hill that can play for anybody at any high conference league. And I think the Lancers are going to cover plus 17 against the Vols.
All right, I like that. Also, Bill, remind me to talk about their coach, Griff. Fascinating story if you haven't read about that. Gave up an $800,000 a year job to make $32,000 coaching college basketball. Really interesting. But switching gears, Brian. Another one of the picks you like, which I'm interested in, is Arkansas. You like Arkansas -5 over Vermont. I think this has been a trendy upset pick just because I feel like Vermont always has a quality team. But what do you see in this matchup?
Yeah, you're right. Vermont is a public, popular underdog, and they can play. There's no doubt about it. They're good, but I think Arkansas over the course of 40 minutes, I think their pace, their athleticism is going to be too much. And they only had to play twice last week. So I think they've got fresh legs, and also you've got a team that is 15-3 straight up since January 12th. They are 13-7 against KenPom top 100 teams, whereas Vermont has only faced 3 KenPom top 100 teams. They lost by 14 at Northern Iowa, number 91. They lost by 10 at Providence, number 49, and by 11 to Maryland, number 80. So they have lost by margins of 11, 10, and 14 to the 3 KenPom top 100 teams. I think Arkansas, which is 7-2-1 against the spread, their last 10 is single-digit favorites. I think they win by double digits. Vermont will hang in there for a while, but Arkansas pulls away and covers, in my opinion.
About tonight, I don't know if you've really looked into it, but we were talking about the Bryant game tonight. Have you watched this kid, Peter Kiss, and what is your opinion on him? I feel like you'll have an interesting take.
Man, I have not, but I've heard a lot about him. I've heard a lot about how this Bryant team was very impressive last week in the finals of that tournament. And but I haven't seen them, and but looking at them on paper, they've won a lot of games here. And they're +4, correct? I may do a little more homework on them and may take them +4, but I've only heard about them, but I haven't seen them.
Cockiest player in the country, guaranteed. I want to when you watch tonight, I'll hear about it next week. Just another generic question, because I picked Gonzaga to win the national championship, even though I worry that they're not tough enough. Do you have any? Do you think, first of all, they're the best team in the bracket, or do you have any lean on a national champion? I know you don't have your Final Four picked out yet.
I don't think Gonzaga's going to win it. I just don't. I could see Kentucky winning it. I could see, quite a few different teams winning it. I think Iowa is very dangerous. I think Tennessee's dangerous. I don't see Gonzaga winning it, although I'm not saying they're not going to get to the Final Four. And I wish Mark Few will play anybody anywhere. I wish they play anybody in November, December. I wish, and I don't know if the WCC allows it or not, I wish they could play a non-conference power, in February, and maybe get one of those tough games they have in November, December, and throw it into late January or late February, because they go so long. They go 2 months. I know St. Mary's is good this year. I know the WCC was a lot better this year, but I wish they could play some of those power conference teams later in the year. I don't know if the WCC allows that or not.
He's Brian Edwards, joining us with VegasInsider.com. You can also check out his work on MajorWager.com. Let's stay with one more NCAA tournament game, and then we'll jump to a NIT game tonight, UAB and Houston. The Blazers, Andy Kennedy, +8.5 against Houston. Houston is a team I liked. They are athletic. Kelvin Sampson are a very good coach. Your thoughts on UAB, a 5-12 matchup there in the South Regional? Winner would get Illinois or Chattanooga. Your thoughts on Houston and UAB there in the first round?
Yeah, I like UAB +8.5. They've got an outstanding player in Jordan Jelly Walker. He averages 19.3 points, 5 assists, 1.5 steals per game. He went for 27, 40, and 26 in the Conference USA tournament. He shoots 40.7% from 3, 87.4% from the free throw line. The Blazers are 3-0 against the spread, 2 outright wins in 3 games. As underdogs, they've faced 10 KenPom top 100 teams. They're 6-4 in those games. They haven't lost by more than 6. In fact, in 34 games this year, their largest defeat was 1 loss by 9. So they've only, they would have covered 8.5 in every game. They'd be 33-1 against the spread as an 8.5-point dog. So I'm gonna go with Andy Kennedy's team plus 8.5 against Houston.
And the final one before we let you go tonight: Mississippi State and Virginia. A little bit of NIT action. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I also have Miami plus 1.5, and I have Rutgers plus 1 against Notre Dame tonight, and I like Virginia minus 2.5 against Mississippi State. And the NIT reports coming out Sunday night that Ben Howland is going to be fired after the NIT. The Bulldogs are an abysmal 1-9 straight up, 3-7 against the spread in 10 true road games. The Cavs are 7-4 straight up. Their last 11, they're 6-3 against the spread. Their last 9 is single-digit favorites. I'm gonna go Virginia minus 2.5 tonight.
He is Brian Edwards. Joins us each and every Wednesday. We'll catch back up next week. Look ahead to Sweet 16. God, it's hard to say that. Sweet 16 and Elite 8 next weekend, and anything else going on. We appreciate you taking time each and every week to join us.
Thanks, fellas. Y'all have a great weekend.
You too. Brian Edwards with VegasInsider.com. Also, make sure you check out his work on MajorWager.com. You can visit him on Twitter and ask him questions. He responds, interacts at Vegas B Edwards is the way to do that. We'll come back. We will get more. We will catch up with Kyle Thompson, and then later on this hour, we'll get more back into that college basketball discussion as it pertains to head coaches. I'm very interested, really interested, Patrick, at some of the stuff coming in as it pertains to who people think should be the next coach. But we'll continue on. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
I was thinking about retweeting Bun's tweet.
I'll probably do it later. I'm kind of. Normally things don't like really confuse me and throw me off on a radio show. I'm kind of like ready to handle it, but I'm really kind of this morning like thrown off with. I'm telling Patrick that I'm really confused and thrown off by the feeling on Sean Miller this morning. Not a lot catches me off guard as it pertains to the radio program. Normally I'm kind of ready, but I'm really confused. And see, like Rick, you were saying BJ's never been a head coach. There's going to be a learning curve for him. I think it'll definitely take a step backwards, but then it could move back forwards. I think BJ coming in, the program would decline a little bit, but then he could jump it back forward. I haven't even seen Kelvin Sampson's name. Or you said Kellen, the son. Okay, Kellen Sampson. I think it's, how old is Kelvin Sampson? Is Kelvin in his 70s yet? He's 66. Huh.
All right, so someone did just answer this question. Travis says these stats say it all. He's 422 and 156. That's a great record. 3 A10 regular season titles, A10 tourney title, A10 Coach of the Year 8 times, Pac-12 titles 5, Pac-12 tournament titles 3, Pac-12 Coach of the Year 3 times. He's been to the NCAA tournament 11 times, Sweet 16 3 times, and the Elite 8 4 times. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about Sean Miller is he is a pretty good. I mean, he's not the best X's and O's coach, but he's not bad. He's a good coach. Like I don't know if I ever believed. Did you ever really believe Will Wade was a good coach? Like a good coach. Like he had really good athletes.
He had really good athletes, but he also had young teams that he kind of made a lot out of. I don't know. Because they also were carried by a senior. Like their best team was probably led by Tremont Waters. And he was an experienced point guard. He was good. I like that people are trying to like shame us for talking about this.
Yeah.
Steve's like really surprised to hear you guys have a win at all costs approach. What?
Yeah, then that causes me to start.
Never went beyond the Elite Eight. That's not easy to do. Just get to the Elite Eight. If South Carolina goes to 4 Elite Eights, we'll be swimming in the 5 points fountain.
This is true.
Only 4 Elite Eights. Never made it past the Elite Eight. Okay. We didn't say we want him. I'm not saying I don't want him.
Steve just texts a lot. I was looking at his. I mean, it's crazy. We've had this text line for a couple years now, and now, I mean, like I just ended up on some text back from 2009. I was trying to look, just see if there's any news coming out here as we hit 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
I
their
feel like.
violations are the same. I mean, Will Wade's are probably a little bit worse, but the idea that what's the difference? Well, you're not going to hire Will Wade because he wasn't successful enough to potentially make the baggage worth it. Sean Miller was much more successful. No, we're not back. Sean Miller, I'm seeing, was paid $3 million a year, 2.9. He had a base salary of $1.8 million and $700,000 for peripheral duties such as radio and television programs and speaking engagements, as well as $200,000 annually from Nike and IMG.
How much was he making? I'm sorry.
About 3. Just under 3. Oh, yeah, the Longwood coach was good friends with Ryan Odom growing up and wanted to get into coaching, but instead got into Virginia Law School, and his offer was pulled because Odom was like, "You need to go do this. You need to go to law school. This is going to be good for you." And he was really successful. Was made partner at some huge law firm in Houston, like one of the biggest law firms in the country, and then became CFO of a private equity firm where he was cashing $800,000 checks every year, and ended up was an AAU coach while he was working there, and just wanted to get back into basketball. So his wife gave him her blessing and just said, "Quit, go try and coach." And he became the recruiting coordinator for Odom at UMBC, and ultimately made it to become a head coach and gave Longwood. Longwood just went D1 recently and took him to their NCAA tournament already. That's the only relatively local school in the tournament for the DC area.
Oh.
So I heard him on DC radio yesterday telling his story. You got to really love basketball to give up an $800,000 job to make $32,000. You know what we didn't even talk about today that we probably should have done in the first segment? Daylight savings time is going to be gone.
Where?
They just passed the bill yesterday. November 2023. Daylight savings time is going to be over with.
South Carolina? Or
No, the Senate, the U.S. Senate. Just type in on Twitter, daylight savings. Yeah, that guy's called him before.
It always entertains me because I know that you can set up your caller ID.
If they pass it unanimously, the House has to pass it.
Jen, you hear what Patrick's saying
No.
about daylight savings time?
Yeah, I did hear that they're looking to pass something to.
Oh, he said they.
Not
Patrick
The
said
Senate
they
passed it. The Senate passed it.
Yes.
I guess the House has to pass it. 3 branches of government.
Okay, so I'm calling Kyle here.
Same difference.
Entertaining program that we're having. I really am just fascinated as what we've been talking about this morning is centered around a lot about the South Carolina basketball coaching search. It was not what I had planned necessarily to discuss a ton this morning. We were going to kind of hit on it a little bit. Some news coming out yesterday that Bob Ritchie, Furman head coach, will be interviewed by South Carolina. And I don't really even remember. I think we were just all I was saying to get the conversation going, what we've been talking about, all I was saying, Patrick, was that I assumed, and I clearly am wrong, which again is why I love doing a sports talk radio show, because sometimes you assume something, you think something, and then you throw it out there to the general masses instead of just sitting around with your buddies at the local bar or in a group text message. I assumed Sean Miller would kind of be the runaway, like,
well,
hey,
70% of people agree with you.
Okay, so the Twitter poll is agreeing with me. You can go to Patrick Prett's Twitter. How long you got that thing voting for? 24 hours?
Basically, yeah.
Okay, so you can go at _ Patrick Perrett and weigh in there. Read the poll question again that you've got up.
Would Sean Miller be your number one choice for the South Carolina job? Yes, home run hire, or no, too much baggage?
Yeah, some of you have weighed in and quite with a lot of passion, let's just say, as it pertains to no, you would not want Sean Miller. So, again, just very, very interesting kind of feedback this morning as we talk about what's happening with the South Carolina basketball coaching search. I do appreciate everybody for weighing in and having their opinion. Also appreciate Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider, for joining us in the previous segment to give his take on the games this coming weekend, some of the picks for the next 2 to 3 days. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. But let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines to our buddy Kyle Thompson. Time to talk a little bit of PGA Tour golf. And Kyle, let's start with, you're a former Gamecock. You were here for the Dave Odom era, the end of the Eddie Fogler era, the Dave Odom era. Your thoughts as you saw the news Monday about Frank Martin and his parting of ways with South Carolina?
Well, I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm also wasn't. I read the chat boards like everybody else, and there's a lot of chatter going on about Coach Martin, and I think our program and our fan base expect great results, as you've seen with our ladies team, and so I think maybe it was time. 10 years we had a great run with Frank, and gosh, I mean, incredible what he did when we went to the Final Four, but I think it's probably time to bring in some new blood and maybe rejuvenize our fan base. And, I'm always optimistic, put it that way.
That's a good attitude. Do you have a preference? Is there somebody that you've kind of looked? I don't know how much time you have to, you have an actual job. You have kids as well. I highly doubt you go home at night and do what Patrick did last night. Patrick was looking in Europe for the next great basketball coach at the University of South Carolina. Patrick's got a plan. He says we're just going to recruit, 13 Europeans and just be able to shoot the lights out of the gym.
Ball movement, and 3-point shooting.
Pace and space, I think, is what it is on NBA 2K. One of the games that I played with Austin. But
I love that.
Do you have a preference for a coach? Do you have someone?
I don't. I really don't. I haven't done my due diligence looking into this, but what I do know, and I'm a little worried about, is there's a lot of other programs that are also on the hunt for a good coach. So that's gonna be challenging. We're fighting against some great programs. So hopefully our leadership team at USC can really wow and recruit the next great coach to come in and do some great things.
Let's talk a little PGA Tour golf this morning. Very weird weekend. As a former PGA Tour member, when you have the weather and the starts and the stops, Kyle, I'm sure growing up, you played. There were days, probably junior tournaments, I guess. You played 36 holes in a day, and I remember one time I was probably like 13 or 14. My dad just dropped me off at the golf course at like 9 a.m. I think I managed to play something like 40 some odd holes in a day, just spending a day out at the Country Club of Lexington. But as a professional player and the mental stress that you get, what is it like for some of these guys when they have to play 27 or 36 holes in a day, like just happened down at Sawgrass?
It's something we've all done throughout our careers. And I guess you kind of get used to it in a way. I mean, anytime you try to qualify for the U.S. Open, you play 36 holes in the sectionals. In college, I'm not sure they still do it, but in college, we used to play 36 holes the first day, then 18 the second day. All the time we would do that. They'd give you a box lunch as you're coming off the 18th green, as you go back to the first hole. So that's nothing completely unusual, but it does take a lot of mental fortitude, I think, especially when the weather's really bad and you're trying to fight through the wind and the rain and everything else that comes along with it. Super early week. Usually you're going to bed late because you're finishing at, they're blowing the horn at dark. You're waking up probably an hour and a half, 2 hours before the sun comes up to go out, stretch, eat breakfast, and get on the range and warm up. So it takes a lot out of you. And there's a lot of tired people, golfers this week playing the Valspar event. So it'll be interesting to see who plays well at Valspar after coming off of a long week there at the Players Championship. But it was great golf. There's some incredible. It was an incredible finish. I got to see pieces of it on Monday, but Cam Smith is sneakily having a great career. He's got 5 wins now. He won $3.4 million at the Players. Just incredible money that is out there now that he was able to win. And so, he's something else. He's a great player.
Kyle will be offering a golf lesson here on the program. If you've got a question, you got something that's been bothering your game or you need to work on, you want a little advice, send us a text message, 803-404-6100. We'll ask Kyle on air, get a little bit of advice from the former PGA Tour member. 803-404-6100 is how you can get in touch with us now. Send in a question for Kyle. You mentioned that with the Valspar. Again, kind of what I just asked you, but now I think we all look at it. I know you probably missed it earlier. I was doing yoga stretches on the floor here. So, of course, we're radio athletes around here. But I would assume, Kyle, that, you go, oh, you played on Monday. Now you're playing again on Thursday. Yeah, you get basically a 2-day break. That's not hard, but you talked about it. The travel, I guess. What's it like to turn around and have that quick of a turnaround for tournaments?
Luckily for those guys, they're going from the northeast part of Florida down to the southwest part of Florida. So it's not the travel part's easy this week, but they finish on Monday, so they finish late Monday. Then they have to get down there. A lot of them are going to play a little bit on Tuesday, maybe 9 holes max. But all these guys that played well, they're also in the Pro-Am on Wednesday. So either they're playing 18 on Wednesday that they have to play in the Pro-Am, or they're probably playing at least 9, maybe possibly 18 on Tuesday. None of them are going to do both. It's very, very important for these guys. And what they all do now, they all have their own, team that travel with them. But a lot of them have, people stretching them out, people that are working on their muscles. It's a well-oiled machine, these top pros in the world, not just their golf instructors, but they also have obviously their caddies, but they have their head doctor, sports psychologist. They've got a soft tissue specialist. A lot of them have and travel with. Hell, a lot of them have their own cook and chef that that travels with them and prepares meals every week for them so they can eat healthy. This Whoop device, I'm actually looking at mine right now. It's a pretty unique device. It measures your heart rate and everything. A lot of pros wear that, and they've got their own team that analyze their data at the end of the day and tell them what time they need to get to bed, how hard they need to work out the next day, or if they should have a light day. It's pretty. It gets pretty granular with the top players in the world. So, but if it can save them a half of a shot over the course of a 4-round tournament, which equals, half a shot here, half a shot there to shave one stroke off their score. That could be millions and millions of dollars. That's why they all do it.
Question in for Kyle here on the text line. Now, this is a little bit different, but getting your opinion. Teddy weighs in and says, do you use the XE 747 Punch-Out Club? So we'll get your – I don't know what that is. He says it's a legit question. He will know the club, so I don't know what that is. So give us – what are you being asked?
That is beautiful. That is a beautiful question from Teddy. He is a fan of Club Pro Guy. So if you haven't heard of Club Pro Guy, it's probably the best follow on the internet if you want to have a good laugh. And he has come out with this gimmick club. It's called whatever he just said, but it's got this technology on it that I won't say on air, but it's pretty funny. But this whole character, it's Club Pro Guy is a guy who really he claims to be a head pro at a municipal course, a semi-private course out in Kansas City. And you never see his face. It's always blurred out because supposedly the Mexican cartel's looking for him. And it's this huge, huge backstory. But yet, just the humor that comes out of this account is unbelievable. So, Club Pro, if you go to at Club Pro Guy. So,
I kind of want to say what the technology used is.
I mean, you could say it. I'm not going to say it.
It's the XE 747 Punch-Out Club with state-of-the-art camel toe technology.
Got it. Okay. All right. There you go. All right. Good. Thank goodness we're in the 8:40 hour and the school has started. That's all I can say. Brian Glenn has a question for you, our good buddy who is the owner of the Village Idiot and well known around here as one of the worst golfers we've ever seen. He asks Kyle, he says, can I have a consistent short game when I play 2 to 3 times a year? Side note, practice is out of the question. How do you have a consistent short game? And then we have a serious question for you coming up in a second. But yeah, can you help Brian with his 2 to 3 times a year? Is there a way to develop a consistent short game?
Or without playing?
Yeah.
That's impossible. Sorry, Brian. I mean, I grew up going to your place all the time for pizza, Brian. I loved it. And so how do you make good pizza if you only make it once a year, twice a year? Think of it that way. So
good answer.
It's impossible.
And then Anonymous Extra weighs in, your opinion, best wedge for tight lies 20 yards out. I guess maybe if you've got an opinion on degree, so not to chunk it. So if you'd go with a 52, a 54, or if you've got a strategy, if you're 20 yards out, what degree wedge you would prefer there to try? Obviously, not in the text message, but slope and terrain matters there kind of. But your opinion on anything from 20 yards out and how you always tried to play maybe those shots?
That's a good question because right now that's the shot that a lot of people have. It's kind of cold and wet out still, and you get these dormant lies where it's sort of semi-muddy, and it's really easy to chunk those. And really the key to those shots, though, is not having too much lean on the handle. So like what I'm saying is not having the hands too far ahead at impact, because when you do that, you're letting the lead edge of that wedge dig into the ground. It's like a shovel, and it's going to stick every time unless you make absolutely perfect contact. So the key to those shots is to have the ball a little further up and have the handle almost behind the ball, sort of like Zach Johnson sets up to his putter. That's kind of how you want to set up, and make sure you use the back edge of the bottom of the club, the bounce. I'm sure you've all heard that term used. Well, the bounce of the wedge is what's really key in pitching off of tight lies. You want that part of the club to thump off the bottom of the ground, and not the lead edge. And once you understand that and you use the bounce properly, those shots become way easier. I always hit those shots with my most lofted club, which for me is a 58-degree wedge, and I have 8 degrees of bounce on my club. You can get wedges with more bounce, 10, 12 degrees, and you can also find them all the way down to 4 and 6 degrees. But I would say most guys on tour are either 8 or 10 degrees. So hopefully that sort of answers that question. But the key is just to have the ball a little further up, handle a little further back, and use the back edge of the wedge.
He's Kyle Thompson. You can follow him on Twitter at Kyle Thompson. PGA is the way to do that. You can send questions there. And again, we will take some questions next week as well. But let's wrap up here with your thoughts. The group heads up to the Valspar Championship this week, Innisbrook Resort. They're in Palm Harbor, Florida. Sam Burns, the defending champion. Be a little bit weaker field this week as a lot of guys get ready for the Dell Technologies match play next week out in Austin. But your thoughts and what you remember if you've played that course, Innisbrook, there in Florida.
Well, this is I believe the third straight week that they've played. Excuse me, fourth straight week now in Florida. And the lineup of golf courses have all been extremely tough, and this is no different. This golf course is very hard. It's very challenging, and it's going to once again take a really great ball striking performance like we saw out of Cam Smith to play well. There's still a lot of solid players. I mean, Dustin Johnson's playing, Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Jimmy Walker. I mean, there's a bunch of players that are playing that could compete for this. I think it'll be my guess is that it'll be somebody that missed the cut last week wins this week. So I haven't really looked through all I think Morikawa might miss the cut at players, but I would not be surprised to see somebody that missed the cut play well this week because, just think if you made the cut last week, you had a super long week, you played all day Monday, all the things we talked about earlier, and then you're going to play another full week and be mentally strong and ready to go late Sunday. That's going to take some serious fortitude. So I think it'll be somebody that either missed the cut last week or maybe even somebody that didn't play last week. So
you are right. I was just looking at what they've now developed as the field. You're right, a very strong field this weekend, and some older names in here. I see Davis Love III will be a part of it. Stuart Sink joining in for this particular tournament. I see new European Ryder Cup captain Henrik Stenson will be in this week. So you're right, a very strong field. Actually, I guess because of I don't know. Real quick, when do you have to let a tournament know that you are officially in? Do you sign up at the beginning of the year, or is that something where you can opt in 2 weeks, 3 weeks ahead of time?
No, you have to commit by 5 p.m. on the previous Friday. So that's when the field list is set. There's a few guys that can always squeeze in at last minute. It can only be the winner of the previous week's the event. So, if Cam Smith, who won it, last week, wasn't signed up and decides at last minute he wants to play, he could. So that's the only way to do it. And you did mention Henrik Stenson. Henrik, I don't know if you guys knew this, but he married Emma Lofgren, who played on the USC women's golf team.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in college, Henrik used to come over. He was playing the Challenge Tour at the time, but he used to come play with our golf team like almost every other day. And so I became pretty good buds with Henrik over the years. And I was excited to see that he's going to be the next captain for them. So.
Pretty cool little story. We'll get more on that next week, buddy. Hope you have a great weekend, great rest of the week. Watch some NCAA basketball. You want to weigh in? Are you a bracket guy? Do you have multiple brackets? One bracket? How does the Thompson family? Is there a group effort there? How does the Thompson family do an NCAA bracket?
I let my kids each do a bracket. My wife, she's done one in the past, and I've got that on my to-do list today to fill one out. So I'm actually down in Charleston right now, but I'll be headed home soon. And plan on working on that, really getting into the weeds and seeing who I think is going to make a run this year.
Look forward to it. We'll talk more about it next week. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch up with you next Wednesday at the same time.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Take care. He's Kyle Thompson, who joins us every week for our PGA Tour segment. Counting down the days, Patrick, it'll be Masters Week and RBC Heritage Week before we know it. Less than right about a month away. We'll wrap up.
And draft.
Well, that's PGA Tour draft, I'm sure. Yes. NFL, that's a totally different sport.
Yeah.
And
that's the only one that matters.
We'll let you get back into that next up. We'll finish up the Wednesday morning episode of the early game on 107.5 The Game. Spring cleaning can be, not enjoyable, especially when there's a bunch of great sports on television. You just talked about the PGA Tour. There's some basketball tournament that starts this weekend. You've got NASCAR this weekend. There's so many things taking place. You don't really want to be spending the weekend cleaning your home. Let the professionals do it with Zero Res. Use their ZR water technology, scientifically proven to keep your rugs, your towel, your upholstery insanely clean. Right now, you can give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or you can schedule online, ZeroResColumbia.com. It is the spring cleaning sale going on. 3 rooms of carpet clean for $109. Plus, when you mention me, Bill Gunner, and 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. So call Zero Res today, 803-262-4020. You can schedule online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Again, 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $109. And a reminder, when you mention me, Bill Gunner, 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. So don't hesitate. Call Zero Res today. That incredible, scientifically proven ZR water technology that will keep your carpet, your rugs, your tile, your upholstery all insanely clean. Don't wait another day. Call Zero Res, 803-262-4020, or schedule online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
I have no idea.
I am confused what's happening on the live stream. There appears Trey has given us some legal advice. I couldn't keep up if it was legal advice for
what.
I think I'm having to go back. You guys
Trey,
did a great.
Trey was talking about daylight savings time.
But I thought he also said he was there. If you go back,
Oh, they're talking about the
name, image, likeness law.
Here's what Trey said. The U.S. tried a permanent switch to daylight saving time in 1974 to save energy during an oil embargo. But after complaints from parents about schools starting at dark, they abandoned it. Interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah, Travis waiting in the Senate pass still has to go through the House. Yeah, dude.
Well, if the Senate passed it and everybody agrees that it's a good idea, the House, they work for us.
I'm also.
If you vote against that, you're not getting reelected.
I'm also confused at who Rick is talking to because I don't. Or was Rick talking to you?
About what?
I don't know. It says, dude, I was just busting your arse.
I don't know.
Not sure who Rick was talking to. Alan, I feel like one day we have to hear your Sean Miller story. It
I am
appears to be
fascinated
very
by it.
bad.
I am fascinated by it.
Yeah, like. Wait, I'm confused. What did I do? I've kind of been out of it for 20 minutes. Very confused by the whole live stream this morning. Yeah, I would like to go back to the live streams for you guys and to look at me. I can't. Doesn't really help. I can't really. I'm not going to share my screen. But I got the live stream. I got my Twitter. Oh, a new notification. And I got the text line where Brian Glenn is asking the important questions about golf. He sent another one in for Kyle. He said, would multiple Budweisers be an advisable approach? So Brian Glenn was trying to get answers for his golf game this morning. You guys, look, we learned Trey is giving us all kinds of information on name, image, likeness. Is that you?
No, I have no idea what that was. comes right here. I have no idea what's going on right.
Do y'all hear that on the live stream?
How could it possibly be making noise under there?
I don't. You can hear it out there. I think you're right. Something in the ceiling, or
I don't know.
we don't know what that was.
All right, we got like 2 minutes.
All right, we're back. Final segment of a Patrick, very interesting Wednesday program as we sort through the South Carolina college basketball search. What do you take away? What do you take away from the reaction today? Because your Twitter poll suggests, at least to this moment, that South Carolina fans, I think you said last time we updated it, was 70% would be on board with Sean Miller being the number one candidate, being the must-hire guy. The text line, I feel like, has been the complete opposite of that. What do you take away from what we have kind of learned this morning?
I don't know. Maybe if it wasn't an anonymous poll, the results would be different. Because at the end of the day, I think people want a winner, but they don't want to say that they're okay with cheating. But I didn't think he was that polarizing. I mean, there's so many coaches coaching right now that have been caught paying players. Bill Self is a number 1 seed, has a lifetime contract to Kansas.
It's true.
I mean, Bruce Pearl, how many different things has he been tied up in? He's a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Tell me these guys, you wouldn't like these guys as your coach? Okay.
It's interesting. It'll take a few more days. I still think that by next Friday we will have an answer, because this seems like something that's been in the works for a while in terms of South Carolina moving on. We'll continue talking about it. We'll talk about the NCAA tournament tomorrow and potentially big news with Deshaun Watson.
Will he be a Panther, Saint, Falcon, Brown?
I'm going Cleveland Brown. We'll find out. Jen, thank you for all the hard work. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. 21-hour break.
Good times. Be safe.
Take care. Yeah.
Fun.
What? Say that again?
Training today.
All right.
That was fun.
Oh, Krispy Kreme green donuts tomorrow. Delicious. And Alan followed you on not enough characters for. Well, Alan, you're just gonna have to one day. Alan, we may have to get you on the radio one day to give your Alan's.
Did you see what Tiki and Tyranny did with their bracket challenge?
No.
It's the biggest radio WFN, the biggest radio station in probably the world, and their winner of their Tiki and Tyranny bracket challenges co-hosting with them for a show.
Oh wow. Yeah, go check out our bracket challenge. One other thing, did you see the bracket challenge? So it's these 3 guys down in like Alabama. It might be a radio show or something. I'd have to go back and find the tweet because I was in the pickup line yesterday. The 2 winner, the loser. So basically, he's got to go to the airport, and the 2 guys who won split and buy him a plane ticket to somewhere in America. And to get back to Birmingham, Alabama, he's got to use a car, a train, and a
bus.
And a bus. And he's got it, but he doesn't know where he's going until he gets to the airport, and he has a plane ticket waiting on him. So they send him somewhere, and he's got to use those 3 things to get back.
So they're gonna fly him to Washington.
Basically, yeah, they can fly him somewhere. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, everybody, have a great day.
See you tomorrow.